Hello, and welcome to this meeting of the Planning and Development Council of the Town of Oakville. Mr. Clerk, do we have any regrets from Council?
No regrets, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Council, do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest? Mr. Clerk, I see none. Council, we have the minutes of the regular session of the Planning and Development session of Council from November 3rd to amend or approve. Councillor Knoll and Councillor Shea are moving and seconding adoption. Any objection? There being none, that is carried. We have advisory committee minutes from the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee, and the minutes come with recommendations. Are there members who want to deal with those? Councillor Giddings is moving the recommendations and adopting the minutes. Councillor McNeist, I see you second. Any objection by anyone on council? There being none, that is carried. Thank you both. We have a consent item 5.1, the Housing Strategy and Action Plan Progress Report. Everybody's read it. It's in order if you want to receive it now, or Councillor Dudek and Councillor Lischina, thank you. Any objection? There being none, that is approved. Now, we have presentations that bear on planning in Oakville, and especially in Midtown, an item of some interest to some members of the audience tonight. And the first of these is the Bill 60, Fighting Delays, Building Faster Act. We have a detailed report that I hope Council has read. I hope that you've read especially pages 11 to 13, which deal with the changes contemplated by Bill 60 on the TOC process. Council, do you want the presentation that Mr. Charles has, or do you want to receive it, or do you just want to go to questions? Councillor Haslett-Deal.
Through you, Mayor Burton, we would like to have the presentation.
Mr. Charles, are you ready?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is a brief presentation. The content, and the majority of the content, is in the staff report, and I certainly do have to acknowledge the team that went into putting this work together. It was an exhaustive review of this omnibus bill over the last couple of weeks, so kudos to the team for pulling this report together. By way of background, Bill 60, Omnibus Bill, which is touching 16 different statutes, was just recently introduced a few weeks ago in the legislature. It's currently at its second reading. And there was a technical briefing that was part of the release by the province, which is available online, and there are links to it in the staff report. It is currently going through consultation right now. Comments are due the end of this week, early next, and there is a list also in the staff report of the various postings that are on the environmental registry, which I can cover here. As noted, these are the different statutes that are being captured in the in this omnibus bill, and the level of that is going through everything from Building Transit Faster, the Construction Act, DC Act, Municipal Act, Planning Act. The new one that is coming out of this is the Water, Wastewater, Public Corporations Act as well. In staff's review of the omnibus bill, some of the things that we would note is that there is benefit when we do see legislation which is increasing our ability to deliver housing faster, and that really is the thrust of what this legislation is doing. It increases the transparency, and we're also looking to support transit funding. With that, though, come some concerns on how this will be implemented, and staff have gone through and provided that clarity throughout the report. But top of mind at this point is how this reduces the local decision-making authority, and it does put more of an emphasis on that centralized provincial control through this legislation. It also looks at what we've referred to as a two-tier system insofar as a planning system, insofar that there's one system that would relate more to how the province would be working through its decision-making insofar that decisions do not have to comply with the PPS or provincial planning statement, whereas it will for the single tiers, lower tiers, et cetera. From an environmental sustainability perspective, what you may see is a contradiction of what would be typical climate action objectives insofar that reducing things like bicycle infrastructure, putting limitations on green development standards, et cetera. So doing this in the thrust of trying to deliver housing faster, what the province is trying to do is removing those friction points which may be related to climate change action. Community livability, what this is trying to do is really standardize the way in which official plans are written, for example. So there's a table of contents which has been suggested, which would be very specific, would affect all 444 Ontario municipalities who have an official plan in place. There's a structure to that. It reduces the number of land use categories, et cetera. There are some challenges, obviously, that we see in how that could function, because it wouldn't necessarily be able to respond for each individual municipality how they are able to respond to their local community context. In addition to that, the administrative burden of continuously having to do new reporting and approval requirements, that will continue to put additional strain on the municipality, as we've seen with past omnibus bills that this province has passed. In terms of comments that we would be making, ensuring obviously adequate consultation, that there's clear implementation guidance, that there's meaningful municipal authority which is retained within the municipalities. Municipalities are able to make the decisions that they need to make, which are representative of their community. Providing financial support for the ongoing reporting and work that we need to do, whether that's financial reporting or otherwise. But also the fact that we need that flexibility so that we are able to address the community issues that we're facing. And this is really culminating in balancing that housing and infrastructure objectives, that we're not only meeting the delivery of housing, but we're also the higher order responsibilities that we have in terms of responding to a changing climate as well. As always, staff will continue to monitor how the bill is working its way through the legislature. We will report back if there are any changes to that. The recommendation is provided for council here on the screen. There are staff in attendance and online who will be able to answer specific questions should you have any. Thank you, Mayor Burton.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. Council, questions? Councilor Hesseltine?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Burton. Thank you for the presentation, but most of all, thank you for the comprehensive report, and I encourage everyone in the room to read Bill 60, because what Bill 60 is about to do is take away your local voice. Could you just clarify for me, there is a section that talks about an advisory panel as well as an alternate dispute resolution process. Would we be, given our concerns with Midtown, it's TOC, would that be available to us once the bill is passed?
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Mayor. I'll see if staff has any additional comments, but without having the detail that has come through in terms of the implementation of these pieces, we're a little bit at a loss as how the province is going to implement them. They have noted that, yes, local advisory boards, but there really isn't any detail that suggests how this is going to then be implemented by the province.
But they clearly feel like they need an alternate dispute resolution process, so I'll take that as a positive. Could you just clarify for me, and I have read the report on several occasions, is it stating that the Minister of Infrastructure can make a decision not in compliance with the province's own planning statement? And if yes, can you help us understand why that might be?
Through you, Mr. Mayor Burton, the intent is that where there is an alternative option, we'll say, for the minister, which doesn't necessarily align with the PPS, then it would be up to the minister to make those kinds of decisions. it's not entirely clear if that goes to any decisions which go then beyond the PPS, or are there other avenues that a minister may choose to endorse an approval which isn't in alignment with other provincial legislation. That it doesn't seem or isn't clear to us. It was really only specific to the PPS and the decisions that we'd be making in alignment or not in alignment with that.
Okay, thank you for that answer. There's a statement in the report that they're eliminating the minister's approval of official plan amendments. How does that affect our OPA?
If I may, Mayor Burton, Councillor, on page, which was that one? Because I'm going to have to refresh my memory on that one.
It's on page 17 of the report, page 21 of the big agenda, and it states, Bill 60 proposes changes to exempt official plan amendments from minister's approval where they're located in a PMTSA and residential uses are authorized on all lands.
Oh, I think what that one was relating to, sorry, that there was a lot with this one. I'm trying to recall exactly what it was. Where there is, the approvals are in place, if there's any further amendments and it's within the PMTSA and you're hitting your minimums, that approval doesn't have to go up to the minister for an approval. That can stay with the local council.
Oh, okay. So once an OPA is approved, if there's minor amendments, if I understood that correctly, they don't have to go back up to the minister?
That was my read of it. The intent was that the council does not have to wait for the minister to further approve something within the PMTSA, that so long as it's already in an approval, if there are some changes to it, that would still rest with the local council.
Okay, and my final question, because I'm conscious of how many people want to speak tonight. Can you help me understand how this truly advances transparency to the residents?
Through Mayor Burton, I believe the intent with that was really through things like reporting, through clarity of what municipalities are being expected to do, such things as standardizing official plans, things like that. I think what the province is trying to do is have that standardization right across the province, which by extension is then intended to be more transparent, more clear for the public.
So transparency in what the standards are, but not necessarily a change in terms of transparency about local community engagement. So it's specific about other elements, not necessarily what some people would perceive as transparency being, in the public realm, being published readily. It seems a little vague to me.
I think that may be a fair characterization, Councillor.
Okay. I once again want to thank you for a comprehensive report and for having the courage to say in the report things that we absolutely don't agree with. Happy to move it when it's time, Mayor Burton.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor O'Meara.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Sorry, a little troubles logging on here, and I wish I was in council chamber tonight, but with young kids doing all types of stuff, I think I've got something coming down here, so I apologize to everyone there. I have two questions. The first is a general question. The second is a little more specific. And I guess the first general question, do we have any idea what this might cost us as a town to implement all of these changes and to go through this line by line and to make these changes in all of our acts, or are there costs associated with these changes that we're going to see and taxpayers are going to face?
Through you, Mayor Burton, no, Councillor, I don't.
Will we be able at some point, and I know adding more work to the work that's already got to do to figure out what the costs are is something that I'm abhorrent to do. But I think it's really important for people to know every time the province comes in with a bill and makes these changes, it adds to their tax increases, because we've got to pay for all this somehow to make these changes. So are we going to be able to bring that forward? Probably not in this budget cycle, but maybe in the 2026 budget cycle, will we be able to ensure that we know how much time and effort and how much time away from staff's work all of this is going to take in order for us to implement.
Through you, Mayor Burton, certainly we can take that back and take a look at what the potential cost could be.
Thank you very much for that. The second question is a much more specific question, and I have had numerous conversations with other municipalities in Ontario about the Water Wastewater Corporations Act and the changes there. Have we reached out to OEC and seen what their ability to move forward on some of the water wastewater infrastructure projects that we might end up having to do, or have we had conversations about what a potential partnership might look like with regards to the utility water infrastructure if we continue to see a downloading of regional sort of responsibilities to the municipality? Is that something that we would consider pursuing?
Through Mayor Burton, that's certainly something we can take away and initiate those conversations. I quite frankly don't know if OEC has started any consideration of something like that.
Okay, yeah, I'd appreciate if we keep that top of mind. I know from drilling holes to marking utilities to all types of things, they've got more capabilities than most LDCs across this province and maybe even country have. So we might be able to find some ways that stays in-house in Oakville as well, and we use our assets that we have. So thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Elgar.
Thank you. Through Mayor Burton. Gabe, can you tell me, could this have an impact on the residents of Oakville? And I think of Midtown where we don't have the servicing beyond a certain amount. And if they're blowing everything through a lot faster at the province, who's going to pay the bill? The existing taxpayers?
Through you, Mayor Burton, at this point, as it relates to water and wastewater, we continue to work with our partners at Halton Region, coordinating with them, especially on something like Midtown, trying to figure out the timing, the capacity, et cetera. In terms of whether or not this would extend beyond being specific to Peel Region, it's feasible, but there's nothing in the legislation at this point to suggest that it will. If something like that were to materialize, obviously we would need to continue to work with Halton Region in terms of how we would be working with them on the delivery of our monetary water and sanitary systems.
But it's just another case of taking more local control away at our municipal level. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Elgar, for that. Councillor Haslett-Deal has moved receipt. I need a second.
I'll second.
Councillor Elgar, thank you. Any objection? There being none, the motion is successful and it's received. So we now have a confidential consent item, and council will be going into camera for reasons which I will announce in a moment. I'm required to announce, and I will eagerly announce. But before we do, we have a leftover item from last month, or actually a couple weeks ago, the last Planning and Development meeting, where we held back approval of an item so that some changes could be made to reflect some local concerns. And I'm told by the council members that they are happy with the result and that they're moving and seconding the report, and I'm pulling it forward. There are no delegations registered or interested in delegating on it, and I'm just going to ask for a vote so that those people are not inconvenienced by the rest of our agenda. Is there, so it's moved by Councillor Nanda and Councillor Shia. Is there any objection? Councillor Duddick.
Your Worship, which item is it, please?
I'm sorry, I thought I said 8.1, but I may not have done. The 3275 Trafalgar Road item. The one that we spent so much time on 2.5 weeks ago. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, there being no objection, that's carried. Thank you to the Ward 7 councillors. Now, council needs to resolve into a closed meeting session for the purpose of matters that may be considered in the absence of the public under Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act because they deal with litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality by the province, and a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. So, Councillor Elgar, you're moving?
No, I question. Mayor Burton, I wondered if we could move that to the end of the meeting, if that would be okay. When I look at the crowd here, that we can move ahead a little bit, and we can, at the end of the meeting, do that item.
Councillor Elgar, I believe that we need to do that now before we consider any of the other items.
So everybody here has to leave the room.
I'll get to that if you give me a chance.
Okay.
Any other hands I saw? All right. So to accommodate that, council's going to recess for the minutes that it takes for the people in the council chamber who can't be here to leave. We have seating in the south atrium for your comfort and convenience, and we will make sure that you know when we come back, and then we will resume in public session here. So I'm now going to call the vote on the motion, and I need a mover and seconder for going into camera.
No.
Councillor Knoll and Councillor Adams. Any objection? It's close, but the motion to go into camera carries. Council is in recess until we have access to the chamber for the purposes of the meeting closed to the public. And we'll be with you as soon as we can.
Recording stopped.
All right. Thank you to the public for your patience. Council is resuming its public session. Council, we need the following motion: that the confidential report from the Office of the CAO and the Legal Department titled Confidential TOC Update, dated November 12th, be received. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Knoll and Councillor Adams, thank you. Is there an objection? There being no objection, Mr. Clerk, that carries. That brings us now to item 7, the public hearing item for the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment on 6th line. We have a presentation and we have delegations. The presentation is from Sarah Hassela, our planner for Current Planning East.
Your Worship, could we have the sound machine turned off? It's hard to hear down this end.
What is that?
There's a sound machine going on.
From when we're in close, it's outside council.
Oh.
I thought John turned it off there. He's turning it off now.
Oh. I thought it was rain outside or something. Thank you, Counselor. And Kate Coburn is also available. So, Ms. Hassela, are you ready?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, sorry, I just want to clarify that the presentations actually will be done by the applicant.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
So is that Mr. Hannaford then? Well, let's see if you can be allowed to make your way to the center.
All right, good evening. So thank you, members of council and through the mayor. My name is Andrew Hannaford. I'm an associate with MHBC Planning, here on behalf of our client, Post Residences Incorporated, for their property located at 1493 6th Line in Oakville. Joining me today are representatives from the owners, including Blake Hampton Davies, who's with me up here, who will be here, and representatives from our consulting team to answer any questions that you might have. The purpose of this presentation is to introduce the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment applications for the subject lands, which are currently with town staff for review. Next slide, please. So this slide highlights the boundaries of the subject lands. The subject lands consist of one parcel located at the east side of 6th Line, south of Upper Middle Road West. The subject lands have a total area of 8,092 square meters and are currently occupied by a single detached home with wooded area to the rear. As you can see on this slide, the subject lands are centrally located within the town, within the College Park neighborhood. Sheridan College is immediately east of the subject lands, with White Oaks Secondary School and Garand Gervais Secondary School immediate to the south. These uses are connected to the subject lands through the McCraney Valley Trail, providing convenient pedestrian and cycling access from the subject lands to all of the surrounding destinations. This area provides for a variety of community amenities, including elementary and secondary schools, parks, trails, as well as retail immediately across 6th Line. There's also existing transit service along both 6th Line and Upper Middle Road West, just to the north of our site. Next slide, please. The proposed development contemplates a 6-story, mixed-use residential building along the west side of the property facing 6th Line. The building height will be 6 stories or 20 meters, and is positioned towards the northwest side of the site. The building will provide for 190 rental dwelling units. Of those, 100% are affordable units, and 30% will also be fully accessible units. The existing wooded area at the rear of the property is to remain, and a 10-meter buffer from the drip line is proposed in accordance with the environmental impact study completed for the property. Next slide, please. A single driveway from 6th Line is proposed with 33 surface parking spaces along the south wall of the building. The entrance to the underground parking is provided at the rear of the building. New landscaping is proposed along the north and south property line with new pedestrian connections into the site from 6th Line. The images that you see on this slide are just preliminary renderings, keeping in mind that the applications at this time are only official plan and zoning bylaw amendment applications. We are not yet at the site plan stage. Final building design details will be submitted through subsequent site plan submissions. Next slide, please. Within the region of Halton's official plan, which is now part of the town of Oakville's official plan, the site is identified as within the regional natural heritage system. The regional official plan includes policies to refine that natural heritage system. This application included an environmental impact study which clarifies the extent of that natural area, leaving the remainder of the site as urban area. The region of Halton's official plan also establishes targets for housing, of which 30% of all new housing within Halton region is targeted to be affordable housing. Within the town of Oakville's official plan, the site is also identified as a natural area. This designation is intended to protect existing natural areas and allows for refinement through subsequent submissions of environmental impact studies which demonstrate no negative impact to the natural area, as we have included with this application. With respect to the natural area as well, Conservation Halton have reviewed our application and the studies that went with it and have confirmed that our proposed limits of development are correct and they have no concern with the OPA or ZBA as proposed. Next slide, please. Within the town's zoning bylaw, the site is zoned natural area. As the proposed development contemplates mixed-use residential, an amendment to the regional official plan, Town of Oakville official plan, and Town of Oakville zoning bylaw are required to redesignate the front portion of the lands as urban area and residential high density. The woodlot at the rear of the site would remain zoned natural area to protect it. Next slide, please. The proposed development provides for a compact, mixed-use form within close proximity to several large institutions within the town and connected to them via the road and pedestrian network, as well as the town's trail system. Regarding climate change and environmental considerations, the owner will be investigating low-carbon approaches in terms of embodied and operational carbon during future site plan approval stages of development. Furthermore, this application is seeking passive house certification through the site plan process, also considering solar as well as precast construction to speed up the delivery of this housing in an environmentally sensitive way. A shadow impact study was prepared to support this application, which analyzed the shadows cast by the proposed development in accordance with the town's terms of reference. This study found no significant shadow impact on adjacent properties resulting from the proposal. The town's one important aspect of this proposal, which Blake would touch on further, is the significant contribution to affordable housing within the town of Oakville that this represents. The town's housing needs assessment was released in August.
Excuse me. Sir, we take turns to express ourselves here. We don't interrupt each other. If that rule is too hard for you, I will ask you to leave now. You still have to be polite. Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you, and through the mayor to continue. The town's housing needs assessment was actually released in August, or an update was released in August of this year. Across a 245-page document prepared by town staff, affordability and the need for affordable housing is mentioned 346 times. That's 1.4, 1.5 times per page in that document. The need for more affordable, purpose-built rental housing and the lack of affordable housing in Oakville are the #1 and #2 issue identified in that report. This development helps, in some degree, to address that. Of the 190 rental units proposed, 100% will be affordable rental, and of those, 30% fully accessible units. This is a significant quantum of affordable housing in an area of the town where it is needed, in proximity to large institutions and with convenient access to many town amenities via transit, as well as the town's trail network. In addition to this proposal includes a daycare at grade to further reinforce the social impact of the proposal, which will locate childcare services directly into the building to serve the community at large as well as future residents. To further describe the important contribution of this development, I'll pass the presentation over to the owner, Blake Hampton Davies.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. While I have the honor of leading this initiative, I stand before you first and foremost as a fellow member of this community where my wife and I are grateful to be raising our 4 children. I'm thankful for the opportunity to speak to you tonight about a project that reflects not just a development proposal, but a genuine commitment to our community's values and long-term well-being. The 1493 Six-Line project is more than bricks and mortar. It's about creating opportunity, stability, and hope for individuals and families who deserve a fair chance at secure, affordable housing in the town they already call home. This initiative is firmly aligned with the Town of Oakville's Housing Strategy and Action Plan and with Halton Region's objective to expand access to affordable and supportive housing across the region. What makes this project especially meaningful is the way it brings people and organizations together. We're proud to be partnering with trusted community organizations that have been serving Oakville's most vulnerable residents for years, often decades. These include Home Sweet Hope, Community Living Oakville, Halton Women's Place, and Oscar. Each of these organizations will have long-term presence in the building, ensuring that the individuals and families that they support have access not only to stable housing, but also to the wraparound services, security, and dignity they deserve. In addition, programming and support services will be offered by Art House, Community Development Halton, Food for Life, and Sheridan College, as well as certified childcare in partnership with the YMCA of Oakville, further strengthening the building as a community hub. This project is about more than increasing the supply of affordable housing. It is about creating a place where people, services, and opportunities come together, a place designed for dignity, belonging, and growth. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present this evening. We look forward to sharing more in the days ahead, and most importantly, to hearing your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. Next slide, please. In terms of timeline, in April of 2025, a pre-consultation meeting was held with town and regional staff to outline the requirements for a complete official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application. Prior to submitting those applications, it's a requirement of the town that a public information meeting is held to provide opportunity for members of the public to be informed about the proposal and provide preliminary comments. This meeting was held on August 12th, 2025. Notice of the meeting was circulated to all properties within 240 meters of the site, and several members of the community did attend to receive information and ask questions of our consulting team. The questions and comments received primarily related to transportation and road capacity, parking supply and function, the affordable definition, operations, and anticipated tenants, and the proposed construction schedule. Following the public information meeting, a formal official plan and zoning bylaw application was submitted to the town in September of 2024. Following zoning approval, application for site plan approval will be sought. Next slide, please. So with that, I will thank you for your time, Mayor and members of council. We're available to answer any questions that you might have regarding the proposal.
Thank you for your presentation. We have questions for you from Councillor Duddick and Councillor Grant to start.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Thank you very much for the presentation. You referenced affordability several times during your delegation. What is your definition of affordable?
It's a great question. I might ask Blake to answer that.
Okay.
Well, some of the presentations will probably touch on this a little better than I can, but what we're doing is lining ourselves in line with the Ontario Affordability Bulletin, which is published annually. We'll be lockstep in line with the province's definition of affordability.
Okay, but just sort of a ballpark, you know,
well,
like
I think the math involved is something like 80% of the mean salary, and there's a calculation that comes in there.
Okay.
And I would refer to that calculation so that you don't make me do math in front of all these
No,
people.
no. Fully appreciate that. Now, I did notice that Halton Region is one of the partners you have identified. Is there going to be some sort of financial assistance through housing, or is it more social services? What exactly is Halton Region's involvement?
Right, so we're working very closely with Halton Region to configure the building with what it means. Halton Region, depending on the success and the financing, so we don't want to put the cart before the horse, but will be potentially giving us a contribution to make 30 of the units deeply affordable to support their initiative on the regional basis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duddick. Councillor Grant?
Thank you. And I'll be brief because I know we have a lot of people who want to speak. Just quickly, you mentioned earlier in the presentation that it will not be its final form. So the built form can change at some point?
Thank you for the question, and through the mayor to you, Councillor. We're at the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment stage, so the intent is to provide 190 affordable housing units in a 6-story form. There's a number of technical details that, quite frankly, we don't know yet until we've had your town staff have reviewed and provided comments, and we've responded to those comments. So there's still a bit of a road ahead through the site plan process and to close at this, but there will likely be revisions. I can't say what they'll be at this time, but we intend to address those comments as they come in and then provide this housing for the community.
Okay, but in its current form, in its location, it looks like a wall. It looks like something from 2001, the monolith. So if that could change somehow, I laud what you're doing, but it would be wonderful if that building fit the community a bit better. Thank you.
Through the mayor, if I might, I agree 100% with that, and that's something that both myself and the architects are focused on. So we are looking, as we mentioned, to be passive house. There's some exciting new construction forms that will not only hasten this to the market, but also allow for us to do, I think, something visually impactful in a positive way for the community. So we are very much aligned with you.
Councillor Knoll?
Thank you, Worship. A couple questions. First of all, you mentioned potential partnership with the region of Halton. So what you're referring to is an RGI arrangement, so rent geared to income for a portion of the building? So 30 units, I think you said?
35.
35 units, okay. Secondly, what is the ownership model for this property? I know that you are currently the principal. Is that long-term, or would it be turned over to an agency or to an organization at some point in the future?
At this point, just me.
So you intend to be the operator going forward?
Yes, sir. Well, we're working with Oscar
Yep.
in order to be our property manager. They have a vast experience, as you well know, in operating community-based projects and working with Halton. So they're our provider of choice at this stage. But yes, long-term, I have no intention to get rid of it. I want to see this dream to fruition.
You mentioned a number of the community partners that are going to be working with you on this particular project, some of the ones that will be there on an ongoing basis to serve the some of the tenants that require those kinds of assistances. Are they going to be resident in the building, or they'll simply be providing services on a as-needed basis?
With the exception of one, so we have space for one of the organizations to have their headquarters in the building, but otherwise we expect them, the residents, to be there, but their organizations to remain in their headquarters throughout Oakville and Halton.
Okay. In terms of security for the property and for the building, I mean, one of the things that is very clear is that the building is long and narrow, and it goes back into an area that doesn't have that's crime prevention through environmental design, that SEPTED principle, because a lot of it's hidden off of the road. Have you had a consultation with the Halton Regional Police Service about some design elements that could positively impact the safety of the building and of the surrounding community?
So thank you for your question, and through the mayor, to you, Councillor. Not at this time, but that's a great suggestion, and we will take that back. We certainly are thinking about lighting and visibility on all areas of the property. As we said, it's still very early days for this, but that is definitely something that we'll take back. And I know your staff would flag through the site plan process as well, so absolutely. And especially important given the daycare that we're proposing on the site. So.
The daycare, and I think, like, again, that's sort of that long, narrow style of the building into the ravine area, I think that would be very worthwhile. And I would ask, and the staff will note this as well, that I would personally appreciate if you could go beyond just the staff circulation to the regional police, but actually engage their services, because speaking as the chair of the board, I can tell you we have significant resources in terms of crime prevention, design, ability in the department. So it would be great if you could work directly with them, add their logo to your partnership potentially in terms of working with them to make this as safe as possible for the residents and for the local community.
Through the mayor, absolutely.
Thank you.
Councillor O'Meara.
Thank you. Sorry, I thought I heard you say that you've engaged Oscar to be the property management company. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, we're working with Oscar through the mayor. We're working with Oscar currently right now. So nothing is finalized, but yes, that is who we're in talks with.
So do you have a letter of intent from them or anything showing their commitment for this project?
I believe through the mayor, you should have a letter of support from Oscar.
Okay, I may have missed that in my package. No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor O'Meara. All right, we're going to turn now to public delegations, of which we have a few. And before we begin, I'd like to make clear to everybody, in case it isn't already, that this is not a decision meeting. This is an issue collection meeting. And you're best served by naming the issue that you want staff to take into consideration as they analyze the proposal. And with that, Mr. Clerk, would you call the first of, looks like 11 or 12 delegations?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Sarah Cumming.
Welcome, Ms. Cumming. You're getting your steps tonight.
I got my steps in. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for having me. I do have a presentation. It doesn't have to be up, but if it is there, I'd like to first introduce myself, if that's okay. My name is Dr. Sarah Cumming, and my career for the last 25 years has focused on helping families move from crisis to self-sufficiency. I hold a PhD in sociology with an expertise in social policy, gender, and employment. And for the past 2 decades, my research and teaching here in the community has centered on marginalized populations and collaborative models that drive social change. My local focus right here has been on building self-sufficiency and on building inclusive, healthy communities. In addition to my full-time professor role, I have had the honor of being the executive director of Home Sweet Hope for the last 8 years. I've worked on the front lines, helping single-parent families move from homelessness and instability to education, employment, and independence. So when I speak about the potential of this housing model, it's not theory, it's evidence, and it's lived experience. Next slide, please. This isn't charity housing. This is supportive housing, and it's delivered by highly respected not-for-profit organizations with decades of success. It includes on-site childcare, critical for working families in the community and single parents. It has a community kitchen, and it's supported by our local food banks. We have shared services that reduce costs for all of the agencies. We have case management and professional oversight right on site, with my organization and my psychotherapist sitting on site. We have a long-term affordability promise and integration into the neighborhood. This is not a shelter, nor is it a dorm. It's a professionally managed housing designed for long-term stability, safety, and community strength. So what this is not is student housing. All of our residents are screened, they're supported, and they're connected to services. The majority of our participants do not own vehicles, and it's not a magnet for outsiders. Everyone who joins our programming must already be a Halton resident before they're welcome into programming. Next slide, please. Why this location matters. The location is not incidental, it's actually ideal. Most residents rely on public transport, they do not drive, and all of my participants go to college. Every single one of them goes to Sheridan College, which is in fact within walking distance. Childcare is on site. Psychotherapy is on site. Food banks and community support is on site. So this actually means fewer trips across the city and them producing less traffic as opposed to more traffic. Next slide, please. I'd like to separate myth from fact. We hear a lot of fear-mongering about who these people are, what's going to happen to our community when we build affordable housing. And across Canada and around the world, the research is remarkably consistent. When communities build inclusive, mixed-use housing, the whole neighborhood benefits. These developments don't just provide affordable homes, they create safer, more connected communities and more resilient communities. CMHC, Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies, and the University of Toronto's City Centres have all published research showing that these types of developments increase neighborhood satisfaction and civic pride. They do not decrease property values, contrary to popular belief, and safety increases when communities adopt these type of housing builds. Housing people reduces strain on policing, emergency rooms, shelters, and crisis services. And communities that plan for inclusion stay strong, while communities that react out of fear continue to decline. Next slide, please. I've seen firsthand what happens when we combine housing, education, childcare, and wraparound supports in one place through my work at Home Sweet Hope. We are built on this exact same principle as this housing is built. We offer affordable housing, life skills, education, childcare, professional development, and wraparound case management on a daily basis. We don't just provide a housing subsidy, we provide stability and an opportunity. And when you give families that foundation, they don't just survive, they thrive. Our clients are not high risk, they're high potential. They're single mothers earning diplomas, there's domestic violence survivors rebuilding their confidence, their parents modeling resilience for their kids, and the results speak for themselves. Next slide, please. We have had 118 single mother-led families come through our programming. 100% of our graduates remain independent, employed, and off of social assistance in the long term. That means the cycle of poverty, which for generations repeats itself, has actually been broken within one generation when people enter our programming. These are families who move from needing support to providing support. Their children grow up seeing what's possible, and their success ripples out through schools, workplaces, and the entire community. So when I talk about the power of housing plus education plus childcare plus case management, it's not theory. It's the model we know already works. Post-residence simply scales what we already know. Next slide, please. Across Canada, the most forward-thinking and resilient cities are reimagining housing. Not as charity, but as smart community design. They're building places where affordability, education, and well-being live side by side. And when you plan for inclusion, you prevent a crisis. Mixed-use affordability reduces social isolation, strengthens neighborhoods' cohesion, and builds interdependence, qualities that make towns more resilient in uncertain times. Post-residence does exactly what leading communities like Waterloo, Guelph, and Vancouver have already done, blending social purpose with economic and civic benefit. I would love to talk in depth about all three of those places and what they have done to build these smart towns, but because we're so limited in time, what I will say is Guelph linked their homes with learning, Waterloo embedded care in housing, and Vancouver built lasting affordability through community partnerships. Post-residence creates the best of all three of those in one build. By combining groups serving individuals with developmental delays, seniors, single mothers, domestic violence survivors, we are creating a complete ecosystem of inclusion, not a siloed development. These cities didn't wait for the crisis, they planned for inclusion. Next slide, please. The last thing I want to talk about is the risk that rarely makes headlines, and that's the risk of inaction. When we talk about affordable housing, it's easy to focus on the risks of building, but what we really rarely talk about, and what is far more dangerous, are the risks of not building. Saying not here doesn't prevent homelessness. It pushes it into parks, ravines, emergency rooms, and encampments. Oakville has a choice: react to the crisis after it appears, and it will continue to appear more and more, or prevent the crisis through planning and compassionate design. Last slide. So in closing, once again, this project isn't about charity, it's about community design. It's about ensuring that everyone has a stable home base right here in Oakville. Because when housing is affordable and when supports are in place and when communities are mixed and inclusive, everyone benefits. So today, we could make Oakville a model, a place where compassion and innovation meet. When we build inclusive housing, we're building stronger towns, we build belonging, and we build the kind of Oakville you all and the next generation of you can continue to be proud to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cummings. Councillor Knoll has a question for you before you dart away. Councillor
Yes.
Knoll.
Hello, thank you for being here this evening, and thanks for your presentation. I've been a big fan of Home Sweet Hope for all the many years that you've been offering your services in town through your predecessors in your role. We've met the owner, and we know about Oscar as being the property manager. What would the role of Home Sweet Hope be in the ongoing operation of this building?
So right now, the conversations are that we would have 25 units in the building, and that our office location, we would have a case manager on site during business hours always, and our psychotherapist also on site for the residents of the community.
Okay. And have you had previous experience in terms of this kind of social enterprise style building? I'm intrigued by it, honestly. Usually these kind of projects are completely not-for-profit or charitable, and you state this isn't charitable. I'm curious about the social enterprise model. Do you have experience with that and how that works? And are you comfortable with it?
Yes. So I don't personally, I do for research studies know how they're working. And
I
so
should have couched it as that since you're an academic.
Yes.
That's really where I was getting
the
at.
academic version of me, yes, does. And so what we often see is the best partnerships are when we partner multiply, when we have the not-for-profit, the corporate, the all together, and we build a community hub. A community is built around the building versus having it siloed in separate places. And so if you actually look at those 3 studies I pointed, they'll point to how these are working, especially the Vancouver one is particularly close to this model.
Okay. Councillor Duddick was asking some questions about the affordability of the unit, and I think we got the answer. It's based on the standard affordability matrix that is used in the in the housing market. So it's not all RGI. It's market affordable as well. In terms of the selection of tenants or the approval of tenants, who has the responsibility for that?
Me.
You. Okay.
Our team, all of for our tenants,
Right.
the ones that would go on us, we do 4 rounds of interviewing for anyone who comes into our program. And they sign participation agreements that outline what they have to accomplish to stay in our housing at all times. And so it's a long process to even get into the program, so to get into the housing. So it goes through 4 rounds, and then I'm the last round of that.
But does that relate only to the units that Home Sweet Hope will be operating, or is that across the board?
Yeah, so I will do my own. Everybody is doing their own
So
section.
each
So
agency-
all the not-for-profits have the same sort of, they have to do an intake process.
So Halton Region would use their typical RGI process for the units that they would be operating?
I would assume so.
Okay. And just last thing, so Home Sweet Hope, in terms of the rents that you'll be charging in that building, this probably isn't a planning question, but it's more my curiosity. Where do you fall in that affordability matrix or that affordability continuum?
So generally, the way in which our funding model works is we have to stay under 2,000 as our maximum for rent, and so we pay a subsidy amount of that, and then the tenant pays the rest for the 4 years that they're in programming.
Okay.
So 2,000 is considered affordable for us in this instance,
Which is
really sad,
I
but
was going to
that's
say,
the truth.
as a 61-year-old, that's very shocking because I remember what it was my
Oakville,
first year.
2,000 is very affordable.
I know. Thank you, Your Worship.
Yep.
Dr. Cummings, thank you very much. There
Thank you.
don't seem to be more questions. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegate?
Yes, Stephen Barrow.
Mr. Barrow, welcome. Council looks forward to your information, and staff are taking notes as to what issues are being identified here. Please begin.
Hello, thank you. I didn't realize my back would beat everybody, so hello, and sorry to be having you watch my back.
Well, Stephen, your job tonight is to talk to us.
Yes. It's my first time, so I'm learning as I go. So I'm here representing Community Development Halton. I'm Stephen Barrow. I'm a social planner with the organization. I'll just share a brief little bit about Community Development Halton for those who may not be familiar. But we're a non-for-profit organization that serves the community, promoting social well-being, community engagement, and overall regional development. We work with other nonprofit agencies, municipal and regional governments, local grassroots organizations to build vibrant, inclusive communities where everyone can prosper. Next slide, please. So we do this by identifying community needs, developing community awareness of identified trends and needs, facilitating and supporting community response to identified trends and needs, communication and coordinated planning between members of the community, local organizations, and governments to develop actions that take us forward, and advocating for change. Next slide. So in that spirit, I'd just like to share some high-level data. We love data in our organization, so I'll just share a little bit about housing affordability in Oakville and Halton more broadly. So let's begin by looking at the affordability threshold. Next slide. According to the Canadian Housing Evidence Collaborative, the affordability threshold refers to households that spend 30% or less of pre-tax income on housing or shelter costs. So I just kind of broke this down a little bit just so that it would be a little bit less abstract. This translates to $750 a month for someone earning minimum wage in most of Canada. So that's an annual income of about $30,000. $425 a month for rent for a single person on ODSP, $219 a month for someone living on OW, and $579 a month for rent for seniors or folks living on GIS with an annual income of $23,000. So putting that in context, and we mentioned a little bit earlier that the average rent in Oakville specifically, but this is reflected through much of our region, is nearly $2,000 a month, and that's as of 2023. The rental wage for market housing in Oakville rose from $43 needed to, so the rental wage refers to what's needed per hour to afford to rent something. So the rental wage in Oakville is $43 an hour. And that raised to $47 an hour in 2024, which is a 9.5% increase. So this shows us that housing affordability is tightening. Next slide, please. But not everybody is impacted in the same way by gaps in affordability. Renters specifically are 2 times as likely to spend more than a third of their income than housing owners. This is a nationwide challenge that for every affordable unit created, many more are lost to the private market when a rental unit changes tenants or gets renovated. This is coupled with extremely low vacancy rates, presently about 1.6% vacancy in Oakville. And what's needed for a healthy rental market is approximately 3% as a minimum. So this impacts people such as single mothers, Indigenous and racialized folks, those living on fixed incomes, and people earning minimum wage or lower incomes that are deeply impacted by this lack of affordable housing stock. Next slide. The proposed construction of 100% affordable units on 6th Line would help bridge these gaps by providing 190 affordable units, plus the daycare facility and community services. I've included a map here just that highlights kind of a corridor in central Oakville where the majority of folks are renting in the community, and so this location would meet the needs of that demographic of folks. With the intentional placing of this housing near public transit within a range of multiple schools, people have options not to rely solely on owning a vehicle and would be geographically close to the amenities that they might need. Next slide. Increasing affordable housing stock like this building proposed has the potential to reduce poverty rates, especially among children and youth, This type of housing can reduce vulnerability for lower income households who often get priced out of the market, building a sense of community belonging by including those who would otherwise not be able to afford to live in the neighborhood. And this improves outcomes overall through increased access to schools, post-secondary education, and employment opportunities, especially where childcare is available to parents. Moreover, the inclusion of affordable housing in neighborhoods has the potential to make positive contributions to the social fabric of a community by increasing a sense of belonging. The partnerships within the Community Service Hub on the main floor also facilitates a spirit of collaboration and support among residents and partnering organizations. Next slide. So a lot of my work with Community Development Halton involves working with folks that are most deeply impacted by the housing and affordability crisis that we find ourselves in. That includes folks that are currently or have been homeless, precariously housed, or those who are living paycheck to paycheck, which many of us can likely relate to. I've learned a great deal from the generous sharing of folks with lived experience. And sometimes when someone shares a very detailed and in-depth story, I try to capture its essence into a found phrase poem. And then it provides something to share more broadly. And so this refers to a curated compilation from a person's story that really gets at the heart of the message that they're trying to share. So I'd just like to share one such poem with you today, which is up on the screen. This came from a person who shared a story out of a neighborhood center who had just exited homelessness. And this really speaks to experiences of change, uncertainty, patience, and mutual support in the experience of making it. So if I could read it aloud, we gotta start somewhere. It's a whole different world compared to the life I used to have. You have to work hard. For me, patience was huge, patience that things were going to happen. And getting involved to help others, I got myself out, but it took a lot of patience and support. And that's why I give back, because I want others to get to where I'm at today. And I hope that with housing such as this constructed in the years to come, that there'll be opportunities for folks to give back in those community spaces that are being planned within those sites. And we really see this as an all-of-community approach to addressing our housing crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your information. Council, do you have questions? Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Rajan Sandhu.
Mr. Sandhu? Welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Good evening, Your Worship, councillors. My name is Rajan Sandhu. I am the interim president and vice chancellor at Sheridan College, and we are one of the partner organizations working at Post Residences. To begin, let me just be clear. Sheridan is not housing any students at this residence. We are simply here as a community partner and in our capacity to support the community organizations that are embarking on this project. Sheridan's proud to work alongside these organizations as an anchor institution committed to strengthening the social infrastructure of Oakville. We contribute through education, workforce development, community engagement, and most importantly, through applied research. That's why this project is meaningful. Post Residences aligns with Sheridan's applied research priorities, where students and faculty partner with community agencies to test, evaluate, and improve real-world solutions, whether that's in affordable and sustainable construction and materials, digital inclusion and smart home accessibility, aging in place design, trauma-informed housing and service delivery through organizations such as Home Sweet Hope, social innovation and community integration, and data-driven evaluation of social outcomes. In fact, projects like these are exactly how applied research at Sheridan works. We don't study challenges in isolation. We embed students, faculty, and expertise into solutions that serve the community. A development like Post Residences becomes not only a home for its residents, but also a living laboratory research environment where we evaluate what works, what helps folks improve over time, and we share that learning across the province and across the country. Services like on-site childcare and case management are also a part of this. This project gives Oakville an opportunity to be a leader in how housing and education intersect alongside social services. Where others see just a building, we see a platform for innovation, somewhere where students, nonprofits, municipal leaders, and researchers come together to create solutions that can be scaled across the city, across the province, and across Canada. Again, Sheridan is not here to build or run housing. We actually have an oversupply of housing on our campuses. We are here because we understand that housing is workforce infrastructure. It is foundational to economic mobility, talent attraction, and social cohesion. If we want an Oakville where people who serve this community can afford to live here, then developments like post-residences are essential. In closing, the project reflects smart planning, strong partnerships, and the kind of forward-looking thinking that prevents crisis rather than responding to it. Sheridan is proud to support it and to contribute through applied research, community partnerships, and a shared commitment to making Oakville a place where everyone can thrive. Thank you.
I managed to cut my mic off before I said it. Thank you. Council, do you have questions for? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, could you call the next delegation?
Yes, Brian Cargill.
Mr. Cargill, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council, I'm not going to be too well liked here because what I have to say is not fitting with all the other people here. Anyway, I will start. 1469 six-line commercial project, and I know that was addressed by the other young lady, a doctor, I believe, so she's quite smart. I don't think a monolift in my backyard is going to help anything. And Munn School will not see a drop of sunshine for the rest of their days. Because if you look at it, I don't have all this fancy stuff, but we live there. The planners are paid to come up with this wonderful project, and they're paid to do it. Our town planners are there to investigate and to either help us put it off or to come to you people for approval. This type of commercial operation is not good for our community. We have traffic now from 7:05 in the morning, the first bus, till almost 9 o'clock that you can't get out of the driveway. And what goes up comes down at 4 to 4:30, between 2:30 and 4:30. We don't have the traffic situation under control down at McCraney and all the other locations. We have daycare, always have, right across the road in the plaza. It's been there for years. We have the affordable housing on Elm Street right across the road. We have it up at the corner at Upper Middle Road. I think we're doing a pretty good share. We have a big townhouse right across the road from us. We have another one up at the corner. How dense do you want to make this project? I know it's a wonderful way of saying these things, but I'm sorry. It's making our life, or will make our life, hell. There are 5 schools within 500 meters of this spot, plus a new senior residence, which came as a bit of a surprise, but I'm in full support of it. One road, fire, police, auto, you should see them sometimes. They have to part to get down if they get a call. It's jammed up right now as far as you can see, and all you'd have to do is go and look. And I ask you to go and look and see what you think. I put a presentation and sent it all to you because I didn't mean to talk this long. I just wanted to say a few things. tell the federal and the provincial governments to get lost. Let Oakville... You guys, this is Oakville. I've been here over 50 years, and I've always been in Halton County all my life. So I think I have a little experience. What's happening, they're cramming stuff down our throats that we supposedly have to get along with. We don't. Push back, please, and tell them to figure out their own house before they ruin ours. Oakville is a lovely city. And the other thing that bothers me really more than anything else is that young girl that was ran over in the sidewalk and killed. How long is it going to be with the traffic on our 6th line before somebody, whatever that person was doing, will run up over the sidewalk and hit somebody, and what are we going to say? Oh, we'll wring our hands. It was very sad. The traffic is unbelievable. We can't stand anymore. So use some common sense, guys. Some nice townhouses in there, families, but a commercial complex like this is just going to create hell. And you can ask any of the services that they're having problems servicing getting up and down the 6th line now. And it is the main one. Oh, we have buses too, by the way, that run up and down. Nice, not bad. And I've learned to use them just for the fun of it, to see where they all go. We can't stand any more of this. It's a terrible situation that's going to ruin the whole neighborhood. We have enough. The density you have in my report, and then the other report as well. So I don't know how much more they want to cram into our area. You have lots of land north of number 5. Right at the foot of 6th line, you have a whole bunch of empty apartment buildings. Renovate them. Do something with that. And put the people in that you're so desperate to house. The only homeless person I know of is the one that sits in front of the liquor store over there, and he does pretty good by the looks of it. He's got a lot of money in his pot. So I'm not sure how we're going to help anybody. If we build this thing, they will fill it. They will come. And we will have the consequences. And in closing, I will tell you, the other night at 9:06, Friday night, knock, knock, knock on the door. I wonder who that could be. Open it. A young boy, about 12 years old, a young girl, maybe 14. We're collecting money for the church. Really? What church? They consult each other. Oh, the Salvation Army Church. Really? Okay. Which one? Well, they weren't sure. Long story short, when I got through talking to him, I gave him some Tim Horton cards and said, go get something to eat. And then I followed them down the street to see where they went. They got picked up by a car. And away they go to another area. They were done for the night. This is what we're having coming in from Mississauga, Toronto. We're trying to make Oakville like them. And we don't want that. Oakville has always been a wonderful town. And I say town, not a city. So try and protect it as much as you can. And if you have to push noses with the federal lunatics and the provincial ones who are just as bad, I hope you will. Thank you very much. Sorry to take so much time.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Don Pangman.
Mr. Pangman, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Your Worship, fellow councilors, as many of you know, I am the proud founder of Art House, which was born in 2009. It was founded based on research on the importance of arts programming
in the lives of young people, how they help develop critical thinking skills, promote self-expression, build confidence and resilience, and support both social and emotional well-being. In short, they can provide the tools for success as young people begin to think about their futures. And through my volunteer involvement with the United Way of Oakville in the early part of this century, I discovered much more about the community I have lived in since 1976, the challenges that someone might be facing or could face in the future. From social isolation, to housing instability, to food insecurity, to the soaring costs of living, I learned that the inequalities in this community were much more than I had ever imagined. And those inequalities can result in no access to any extracurricular programming like arts and recreation. Since our founding year, ART has provided close to 1,000 weekly cost-free arts-based programs to over 12,000 young people aged 7 to 17 throughout Halton. And we have delivered these programs at 90 conveniently accessible locations, mostly free of any charge, in Acton, Burlington, Georgetown, Milton, and here in Oakville. Thanks to our many partnerships with agencies, schools, our library, and the town of Oakville, we are reaching hundreds of kids throughout our community, and thanks to hundreds of generous donors and granting organizations throughout Oakville, we can continue to ignite our young people's curiosity and creativity at no cost to their families. To the post-residence team, thank you for your vision and your commitment to a more affordable Oakville. We are honored to be invited to join many of our collaborative partners who together will provide safe, convenient, and innovative program to these wonderful new residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pangman. There don't seem to be any questions.
That's a short address.
We appreciate your efficiency. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the next delegation?
Oh, good.
Thank you, Mayor. Peter Kolesnik.
Welcome, Mr. Kolesnik. We look forward to your information.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Peter Kolesnik. I'm a real estate broker here in Oakville, and I wanted to share some thoughts about this project as I've had the privilege of a front row seat with both Home Sweet Hope and the YMCA of Oakville, serving on their board of directors from 2011 to 2020, and culminating my last term as chair of the board of the Y. With Home Sweet Hope, I came to the organization for a very short period in 2013 as temporary exec director while we restructured the entire organization, and then served a further 7 years as chair of the board. Early on, I made a very conscious choice to support local charities as opposed to sending my donations offshore to a place where I could not see the results of my efforts to affect change. And while I continue to fundraise for Home Sweet Hope, it will be 9 years ago this December that I led a campaign to raise awareness by sleeping in a car beside the QEW for 7 days. Late one night, I was woken up with a tap on the window by 2 local police officers who explained they had just come across a family who had been living in their car since the spring of that year by sneaking into the cemetery late each night. They wanted to thank me for what I was doing for the community. This campaign was a great success for Home Sweet Hope, but also for homelessness in general. In fact, we did it again the next year for just one night at the YMCA parking lot, and many of our local community turned out, including you, Mayor Burton. Thank you. Like it or not, homelessness is still an issue hiding in plain sight. And breaking the cycle of poverty once and for all is the most meaningful way to impact this change. Home Sweet Hope is not a charity that says, here's some money, now go have a nice life. Reinforcing what Sarah said earlier, since launching the Homeward Bound Halton program, we've graduated 118 mums with comprehensive program of full wraparound supports, furnished housing, childcare, extra child activities, thanks to Dawn and the YMCA, academic upgrading leading to a college diploma, along with support from our industry council to facilitate and support job placement upon graduation. There is much rigor and discipline required to stay in this program and ultimately graduate. These graduates are now earning above poverty wages in IT, human resources, business admin, and our Jill of All Trades program has produced some terrific tradespeople. In fact, one of our moms won the Peter Gilgan Leadership Award while being employed by the YMCA of Oakville, who in turn used these funds to upgrade her certification as a master tradesman. These 118 women have worked their butts off to get ahead. And now they are tax-paying contributors to our community. Their children are involved in many community programs and are truly on their way to breaking the cycle of poverty. As you can imagine, Home Sweet Hope, to properly fund these participant families with all the different program supports, moving parts, is both logistically and financially a huge task because our families are currently housed all over Halton. I cannot stress enough, as chair of the board during my time, how challenging it is to fundraise starting January 1st each year to figure out how we're going to manage this. The economies of scale by having one campus-style location with on-site daycare is truly immense. I've been fundraising for 15 years now in Oakville. It gives me great pride to be part of such a generous community, but please, let's acknowledge that this proposal represents a tremendous landmark, which will help many, many worthy families reboot and relaunch in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Knoll has a question for you. Peter?
Just a quick clarifying question. I know the answer was expressed earlier, but I just want to bring it back to the floor for one moment, and that is, who are the people that will be living in these buildings? Are they local residents largely, or are they people from outside communities?
Yes, as Sarah said, they're from our community. They are within the region of Halton, and they go through a very rigorous screening program just to be admitted. And then they have to maintain very strict requirements about their lifestyle, their academic management, and then taking care of the families. So yes.
And this is a bit of a leading question. We do have a poverty issue. Do we have a poverty issue in Oakville?
I think we do.
Do you know what the percentage is?
I don't.
Okay, but this is to house our neighbors. Is that accurate? Would that be an accurate statement?
That is 100% accurate.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Knoll. Thank you, Mr. Kliznik. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the next delegation?
Pierre Sauvageau.
Mr. Sauvageau, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here. I wonder if you can, next slide, please. Basically, there's seven areas I would like to discuss. A little bit about background of the application, the destruction of the natural area as well as the natural heritage system, overdevelopment, natural to high residential, residential high, excessive height of the building and units, as well as insufficient parking and excessive traffic, affordable housing, 190 rental units. Approval of application? No, yes. Next slide, please. Okay, the current town zoning is N, which means habitable buildings are not permitted in natural area zone. The proposed zone is RH, which is residential high with various modifications. They're proposing, like I said, 6-story building, including housing, daycare, uses for 190 housing units with 103 underground and at-grade spaces. Next, please. Now, the subject area, as you can see by the drawing here, it has CUT, which is cultural thicket, as well as community significant woodlands. And the center of the site is mineral cultural meadows ecosystem. Next, please. Now, a little bit more about the actual subject site. Basically, I did a before and after aerial shot based on the information I got. As you can see in 2021, the site is heavily covered by trees, bushes, whatever. Now, as at July 16, 2025, the left side of the slide, pardon me, the right side of the slide, it's been decimated, I'm sorry to say. There's some removal of vegetation in March of 2025. Next slide, please. Now, destruction of the natural and the NH, 53 trees will be removed to accommodate the proposed construction or due to the condition of the trees. Next slide. Now, this to me, I'm sorry, is overdevelopment. It's too close to the significant woodlot because it goes almost to the very end of the property, close to where a significant woodlot exists. Next slide, please. Excessive height of the building. And basically, 6 stories versus surrounding 2-story neighborhood. The 2 little caps in blue, I'm colorblind, could be purple. But as you can see, the houses beside this 6-story building is excessive. Next slide, please. Now, there's insufficient parking. With respect to the current standard, it's 1 per unit. Provided will be only 0.38. Similarly, so therefore you have 190 parking units you would have versus 72. Originally I said 103, but I'm not too sure about that. With respect to the daycare, there will be 7 and the office 4. And as the gentleman mentioned, there will be a total of 99 two-way vehicle traffic during the AM peak hours, as well as 105 new two-way vehicle trips consisting of 56 inbound and 49 outbound trips. Very congested. I wanted to show you a video, but I was too late to take it. Next slide, please. Now, affordable housing, interesting. This project is not tailored to low income. As you can see, based on the information by Stats Canada, no one can afford, if they're making less than, let's see, maybe, no, 70,000? Maybe you have 70,000 you have to make, renters, as well as a maximum affordable price of about $1,749. So, as well, just want to point to you, the low-income household cannot be reliable to afford the average rents as it exists. Even what is suggested, they say it's affordable, it's not. Next slide, please. Now, affordable housing, I just want to do a brief summary here. Now, this project is not tailored to the needs of low income, sorry. If individuals were to receive support from the community partners, which I've heard tonight, which is fantastic, then it is supportive housing. As you see, the town, basically area of influence is in regards to affordable housing as well as market housing. With respect to homelessness, emergency shelter, transitional, supportive, and community housing, that's a regional matter. Now, it's very, very important that the town, the region, and its community partners must ensure these units are affordable. In other words, I personally think they need to be all supportive units. There's another development literally down the street, which was proposed to be a 6-story condo or whatever. And now the town wisely decided that it should be approved to a 4-story townhouse. That's going ahead. Next slide, please. Approval of application, no and yes. No, there's destruction of the natural and the heritage system, overdevelopment, excessive building height, insufficient parking, excessive traffic, not affordable housing. Yes, if there's an increased buffer between the building and the natural heritage system. A reasonable development, maybe 96. Reduce height to 4 stories, getting more reasonable. Sufficient parking and reasonable traffic. I understand there will be short-term pain in those peak hours, but overall, in the 24 hours, you're able to travel up and down the street. Affordable must mean supportive housing, because affordable is $1,700, maybe $1,800 a month. No one who is in a low income or even relatively good income can afford that. Next slide, please. Now, if you want to ask me what I can see, well, I see the proposed site up there. It's 192 units, 6 stories. And I did, on the left side, it shows how close it is to the woodlot area. My suggestion is to increase the buffer, reduce the amount of housing, 24 per floor, which will be approximately 96. And that is, I think I just have one more slide. I'll just wonder if I want to show that. Oh, the lady was right, the doctor, in regards to low-income housing. They have both positive and negative effects. I just threw this slide together based on the information which I found. Overall, she is right, the doctor. It does make more vibrant community. However, there are downsides for anything as well. I leave it up to council to make a decision, as well as your planning staff, to determine the reasonableness of this development. The application, yes, I fully support affordable housing, and I heartily support the individuals who contribute to the town to ensure that people who are in need are supported. I know members that need this service and appreciate all the effort they have done. Lastly, God bless them. I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Soberjo. Mr. Clerk, the next delegation.
Lori Hepburn.
Ms. Hepburn. Welcome, Ms. Hepburn. Council is looking forward to your information, too.
Thank you. Last but not least. Thank you, members of council and mayor, for having me speak tonight. I am very grateful to be here in support of this residence being built in Oakville. I'm here representing Halton Women's Place as executive director, but also as somebody born and raised here in Oakville. I lived my first 25 years of my life here, and this community means a whole lot to me. And I'm really happy to see some of the comments that I've heard here tonight, and hopeful that, you know, I know that I'm obviously here to speak about domestic violence and what this would mean for the survivors that we see at Halton Women's Place. Yeah, it means a lot to me to see that Oakville is open to discussing this residence. The next slide. So for those of you who don't know about Halton Women's Place, I just wanted to share a little bit about us. Halton Women's Place is a gateway to safety, support, and advocacy for women and children who have experienced violence and abuse as they rebuild their lives. So we have 2 shelters here in Halton region, one in Milton and one in Burlington, and we have 52 beds between the 2. And for those of you, I know, Mayor, you have been at several of our events and know this, we are always full. We are always full at Halton Women's Place, and just this year alone, we've turned away about 150 women and children that, because our shelters were full. We serve women all across Halton, so in all the different towns and cities and municipalities here. We see the realities of the housing crisis every single day because women, you know, many years ago stayed in our shelter for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and now they're staying for sometimes up to a year. So there's a real bottleneck happening because there's no housing. Now, for those of you, you know, that are aware of at Halton Women's Place, when women come to us, you know, they've experienced all different forms of violence in their life. It's not just physical. There are several other types of abuse that you don't see. And we help women to rebuild their lives through case management and several different areas of support that we provide them. But we also help them with housing, and we help them write supportive letters to get housing with the Halton region. And that wait list, it's called the Special Priority Wait List, is 2 years long. So you can imagine that we can't have women staying in the shelter for 2 years. There's no transitional housing, and we are out of luck. So you are having women move out of the region. Halton residents, your neighbors, your mothers, your sisters, your friends are leaving Halton because there's nowhere for them to go. We have the next slide. So just a little bit about domestic violence. It touches everybody, every neighborhood here in Oakville, and every demographic. So there's no boundary on socioeconomic status. There's no boundary on different ethnicities. It really, truly happens to everybody. And I know that there's several people behind me in this room that know somebody who has experienced domestic violence. And even if they don't know, they might not just know that person's story, but they know someone. We know that, the people that we are seeing, they are capable, they are resilient, and they are deeply rooted right here in this community. Our Halton Regional Police Services, Councillor Knoll, you hear this all the time, 10 calls a day on average. And I don't know how many folks behind me have heard that, but there are 10 calls a day that our Halton Regional Police Services are going to right here in Halton, and yes, they're coming to Oakville. About 30% of the clients that we see at Halton Women's Place through our various services are from Oakville, from our crisis line to our shelters to our outreach. Halton Regional Police, they responded to 3,500 intimate partner violence incidents just last year in Halton. And when we say that number, I'm just going to say that's the tip of the iceberg, because domestic violence is something we still don't talk about. I know that that's something the community here still has difficulty speaking about, and we know why, because there's so much stigma and shame that comes along with it. And so we know when we see that 3,500 that there are so many other folks suffering in silence that have just not come forward to share what's happening. The next one. So we know that stable housing equals safety. We know it's a huge reason why women don't leave. We know that without it, survivors often return to danger. We know that shelters stay full, not because people aren't ready to leave the shelter, but because there is no housing. They don't have anywhere to go. You can imagine how many children that is disrupting their lives, their mental health, their friendships, routines, everything is effective. And we also know that domestic violence is a leading cause of homelessness for women in Canada. 94% of Ontario shelters report survivors stay longer just because no housing exists. Next slide. So what this development will do, I'm going to try to not repeat what some of my colleagues have shared earlier. They provided some wonderful stats, but survivors, with a safe, stable home after crisis. This is where they help in rebuilding their independence and their well-being. This reduces strain on emergency services. Let's get that 10 calls a day. Let's get that down. This creates a pathway from crisis stability to thriving. This housing development aligns fully with our strategic plan at Halton Women's Place, which is to find and help and create and advocate for more pathways for women to move out of shelters and to rebuild their lives. And as you know, I've just said, shelter stays increase when survivors cannot access stable housing. That also limits spaces for new families here in crisis. So every time we don't have more housing, we have more people here in crisis with nowhere to go. People here in Oakville could be one of those 150 people that we turned away just from April 1st. Next slide. Just talking a little bit about dispelling the stigma. Now, I won't go too much into it because I know my colleague, Sarah and Stephen, also shared some of these stats, but it does not lower property values. Mixed-use inclusive development strengthen our neighborhoods. Certainly, families moving in are not strangers, and I can't reiterate that enough. They are part of Halton. They are rebuilding, working, contributing, and raising children right here in this community, and 1 in 3 women are turned away from shelters on any given day. Next slide. Who these women are, they are mothers protecting children. They are young people starting over. Young people looking for safety, and their families who want stability, belonging, hope. We don't want these women defined by the trauma. We want them defined by their resilience and the courage that it takes for women to leave an abusive relationship. These are your mothers, your daughters, sisters, friends, and your neighbors. Again, Even if you don't know their story, you know somebody. You know somebody in your life that has experienced this, and I bet everybody knows somebody who has stayed in an abusive relationship because they had nowhere to go. These families are part of Oakville, living, working, and contributing. Next slide. So at Halton Women's Place, if granted this housing, we will absolutely be there to support these families. We do an intake process to make sure that folks are ready. We do a risk assessment to make sure they're at a safe place in their life where they can move forward with this. We will continue to provide wraparound supports while folks are moved into these residences. We already have established relationships with all of the providers that you saw here, and we do a damn good job right here in Halton taking care of our clients. And we would continue to do that if we were able to move into this residence for our clients. Our goal is safety today, stability tomorrow, and thriving long term. Next slide. Looking at my time here. Hoping Oakville will support this. It's not charity housing, as my colleagues have shared as well. It's smart, compassionate community design. It's very thoughtful. It prevents crisis, not manages crisis. Dr. Cummings spoke about the encampments and all the other things that happen from homelessness. I said domestic violence is a leading cause of homelessness, and that's exactly what we'll see if we don't get ahead of this. It builds stronger, safer, more inclusive Oakville for everyone, and saying yes is an investment in family, safety, and community well-being. And I will also take a moment to just highlight Oakville as a leader in some of our efforts and initiatives in domestic violence. This team right here has been so supportive and extreme advocates for survivors right here in your community, having 7 purple benches that are helping survivors felt seen and heard. We've received calls at Halton Women's Place from women who have walked by these benches and said, I felt heard, I felt seen, I don't feel so alone. Next slide. I'm just going to say the next slide because I'm looking at my time and I've talked about this. Families deserve the chance to rebuild safety right here in our community. I'm hoping that Oakville will show continued leadership in this area and compassion, build inclusive housing, build stronger towns, and I think it will do just that for Oakville. So thank you so much for considering our support and your commitment to community well-being. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hepburn. You have a question from Councillor Knoll.
You skipped over a slide. I thought that was really important. You made the statement that the Halton region has declared that IPV, intimate partner violence, is an epidemic. So I think that was an important point to cap your presentation. It's very significant. We as a council, regional council, the police, we all support the initiatives of you and your colleague agencies that are very involved in this, and thank you for the work you do. My question is this. We've heard about a number of the partners come forward to say what their participation is in this project. What will Halton Women's Place be? What will their participation be? Are you renting, or are you wholesale renting a certain number of units that you will then manage yourselves, or are you simply taking potluck as to what's available? So we would be looking at about 20 to 25 units. Okay. Some 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. With those residents, we would have a lease type arrangement in place, which we already have experience in a partnership with the Halton region and Habitat for Humanity. So we have some experience since 2018, which we've been managing very, very well. So we would have that type of arrangement. Again, clients would have an intake process where we would make sure that they are somebody who is eligible and appropriate for independent living. We would also then provide a case manager, so somebody who would meet with them monthly. If there's more needed, then they would meet with them more. But then to continue on with goals. So whether that's going to be jobs. Independence, counseling for the trauma they've experienced, just a wraparound of supports. We would continue with that case management for as long as we need with clients. Okay, and just the last question is with respect to affordability. We heard recently from one of our delegates that this isn't an affordable project, and I'm curious how you would respond to that. Well, we've looked at the numbers, and what I've discussed with Blake and Sarah, affordable housing right now, the arrangement that we have in place with Halton, with Habitat for Humanity and the Halton region is 65% average market rate. Now that, I looked at it pretty closely with how this would be measured against the provincial housing bulletin, and it looked very similar to me. I feel very confident, again, that we have clients that would be able to afford these units. Not all of our clients are on Ontario Works or on Ontario Disability Support Program. We have very working women who might be in lower paying jobs, but some not.
And when I say that, I actually had this conversation earlier today. There's no income standard to stay at Halton Women's Place. It's about safety. So many of the women that we see have wonderful jobs. They are coming to us for safety and to move forward and rebuild their lives.
But it's not a barrier for support from Halton Women's Place, correct? The cost of the unit would not be a barrier. You would find, is my understanding that Halton Women's Place would find ways to help the women move into the units, notwithstanding their financial circumstances? Is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Again, we have wonderful partners. The
So-
Halton region.
So that secures the affordability aspect?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Noel. Thank you, Ms. Hepburn. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Dan Negruno.
Welcome, Mr. Negruno. Council looks forward to your information.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, Councilor. My name is Dan Negreanu, and I live right across the street almost right across the street where this development is proposed. I am a member of the Board of Directors for HCC 27, and I do speak tonight in the name of 34 of our 60 residents that sign our petition. It is part of the package that I submitted to you for review, along with other supporting documents and studies. If we can. So,
Dan,
yes.
You will be heard better. There's a button on your left under the edge of the table, and it'll raise the table and the microphone and give you a fighting chance to be heard.
All right.
Don't worry about that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we all know why we are here. Some proponents of this development project, 190 units over 6-story high, which will increase the density to 308 units per hectare, which is out of the rest of the zone, and zoning change from natural to residential high density. Can we move forward? I don't know where to look for. All right, so as I said, one of the concerns is changing the zoning from natural to high density. Can we go to the next one, please? So I will stop and discuss about what concerns us the most, not neglecting the other concerns, but as a residents in this area, we do believe that on top of existing traffic gridlock, we'll be adding more. And the numbers that have been presented by the developer in the study, and there is an estimation that the intersection next to us, the 6th line and McCranny, will reach the capacity, and is not something that we want to happen, especially that because right next to us, north of us, there is a fire station, and that will create problems for them. If we go up north, there is a police station, and most of the cars, or not most of the cars, in more and more in their emergencies, they are taking 6th line. And I can tell you this, when I moved in the area 6 years ago, rarely I had heard sirens at night. Now it's at least 1 or twice a week. When at night I can hear sirens, that means there are emergency and there are cars on the road they have to pass through. Can you move next, please? Parking. I understand that this unit or this building is designed with less parking, and they do believe that people staying there will not have cars. Now, we live in suburbs. Everybody has cars, and the closest grocery store or supermarket is at 2.5 kilometers away. So you can take the bus, it's true, but the service is every 20 minutes. And I just can't imagine someone going to buy a watermelon and toilet paper, carrying them 2.5 kilometers back to the unit. So I do not believe that people will not have cars. Cars used to be affordable a few years ago, probably will come to be affordable again. So this is the reason they're looking in the future. We do believe is not enough parking for these units, and this will be a problem. Can you move to the next one, please? School capacity. There wasn't a word in the package that I downloaded from the website where they were talking about study around the schools. Study that I found online told me that there is a capacity problem with the schools in the area. If we can move forward. Going back to the density, this will be much more than it is around in this area, as you know, or as you heard from other speakers. We have in the area single, semi-detached, and a lot of townhouses. Some of them rental, some of them are owned by the people living there. So this will increase 10 to 20 times the concentration. It is going to be a lot of people coming in a small area in a short amount of time. If we can move forward. Exactly what I said in the previous slide. There is a large number of people coming into the area. And also there is a mismatch when it comes to this tall building versus everything else around it. So this will, there is no space enough for the transition as bylaws are requiring. I do believe will be a lot of cutting corners in order to build this, this project as it is designed. If we can move to the next one, please. All right, so I do believe there is just a matter of time until this, this building will become extension of a campus of Sheridan. And I cannot answer myself the question, why do they need 2/3 of the total, or maybe 3/4 of the total units to be 1 bedroom, if not designed with a supporting Sheridan, well, not supporting, but because Sheridan, my understanding, is not involved, but private enterprise to have those or some of those units rented to the Sheridan. And as a residence there, we do not want studentification of the region, of the area. We are a welcoming community. We live in townhouses. We want people to put the roots, to have kids, to build, to have families, grow their families in there. We don't want people that will come in, come out from the region. There are a lot of reasons and studies that demonstrate that the fabric of the community is becoming not as strong. If we can move. As I said, emergency services, I was looking to their papers and also consulting other studies. They do have their own corners cut when it comes to accessing their unit, but it's not my concern. The concern is the gridlock of along the corridor, 6-line corridor, and we know that each and every minute of emergency response delay might be a matter of life or death. And we can go to the next. There are some zoning violations. Here are just few. I am pretty sure the city staff will find more. And if we can go to the next one, in the interest of time. What we, not that propose, but what we believe will be a better approach to this project will be to build low-rise townhouses, similar with what we live in today in our area. This will, as I said, will allow families to put roots, grow the family, have the kids going to the schools around, and enjoy the same level of life that we do enjoy today. Next, please. What we asked the council is to reject the project in the form it is presented today and eventually suggest to redesign it, something which will be more appropriate for the region, for the zone. Next, please. These are, again, suggestions for the council. Either totally reject and leave everything as is, or option B would be to go to the low density townhouses. Next, if there is any. No? So in the final, I would like to ask you councillors to vote as your kids who live in my townhouse complex, and for the developer to use the eraser now and redesign the project rather than later, when the moment the shovel hits the ground, there will be no eraser big enough to undo the wrong. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your information. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Peng Phai Tian.
Welcome, Mr. Tian. Council looks forward to your presentation.
Okay. Good evening, member of council. Sorry for my English. Okay. Okay. I stand here not only for as a resident, but a parent who is truly worried about the future of the neighborhood and the safety of our children. I strongly oppose the proposed 6-story, 190-unit development of 1493-69. First and most important, safety. Our neighborhood is a quiet, family-oriented area where children play on the driveway, walk to the school, and use the sidewalks every day. Maybe just as the gentleman mentioned, recently, as many of you know, we experienced heartbreaking tragedy. And 8 years ago, was struck by the car on the sidewalk and lost her life, and her mom is still in the ICU. The girl name is Melody, my daughter's friend. This just happened just 2 km from here, on the sidewalks where children should be safe. If something this devastating can happen under current traffic conditions, how can you possibly expect hundreds of additional cars come to these narrow residential streets every day? If this building moves forward, many parents, including myself, will no longer feel safe allowing our children to walk, bike, or even play outside. Safety must come first. Next, our school, yes. As the gentleman also mentioned, our local elementary school are full, and White Oak Secondary School are already over capacity. Many secondary students in our area have to spend a lot of time commuting to other schools far away from their home, just because no enough space here. If we add 190 more units to this neighborhood, the problem will become worse. Then, the president, once this high-density building is approved, do we honestly believe this will be the last one? No. Approve this project will open the door, will open the Pandora's box. 7-story, 8-story, 300, 400 units development will follow. And soon, our small, peaceful neighborhood will become overcrowded, just like downtown, but without the infrastructure to support it. Finally, the character of our community. We are a neighborhood from 1 to 3-story homes. A 6-story building will overshadow nearby houses, reduce privacy, increase noise, and forever changes the character of our neighborhood. Then we choose as for our family. For all those reasons, the safety of our children, increasing traffic, overcrowded school, and the permanent loss of the character of our community, I respect to ask the council to reject this proposal. Yeah, thank you for your time and listening for the concern of the family here, and thank you for the consideration of the future of our children.
Thank you, Mr. Tien, for your presentation. Mr. Tien? Mr. Tien, Councillor Grant has a question for you.
Okay.
And just very quickly, you realize that tonight is not a yes or no decision.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, but you know, I'm first to come here. Yeah, I want to understand more, but it's too shocking to me. For this building is too big buildings than our peaceful neighborhood. So I'm not sure what's the process for it.
Well, our planning department tonight is listening to hear what everybody has to say, and then we'll come back with a report later where we will say yes or no. But I just want to make it very clear, if it hasn't been heard by many people, because I hear a lot of yes or no, there is no yes or no tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Goodness. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Is there anyone else with information for council on this project who'd like to come forward? Well, I'll restrict it to table. We need a mover and seconder for a motion that the comments from the public with respect to the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment submitted by Post Residences be received, and that staff consider such comments as may be provided by council. Councillor Knoll and Councillor Grant, before I call the vote on that, are there any other members of council with any other comments for staff on this? Very well. Is there any objection to the motion? Mr. Clerk, there being none, that motion is carried. Council, we've been sitting a long time, and I've had requests for a bio break. There may even be members of the public that might like that. So we're going to recess for 10 minutes, and then we'll resume. All right, recess is over. I hope everybody's refreshed. We're next going to take up item 8.2, the notice of a motion on Midtown Transit-Oriented Community Programming. We have, I think, 8 delegations registered, and this is a motion by Councillor Haslett-Dill and Councillor McNeese. And our meeting ends at 10:30 unless we have a special vote to go past that hour. And I have members of council telling me that they're optimistic that we can complete all this in that time. We have 2 other items to cover tonight, and I have arranged for a spillover meeting time tomorrow morning at 9:30 for the 2 other items. Both of those items, neither of those items has had any public interest expressed, and there are no delegations registered for it. So everybody willing, we'll attempt to finish this item by the witching hour. Is that satisfactory? Councillor Haslett-Dill?
The appropriate time, I'd be prepared to move to go past the hour. Thank you.
All right. Do you want to say how much past the hour you want to go?
Till we get through 8.2?
Well.
Recording in progress.
Fine. Is there a seconder? I'll second it. Councillor Elgar seconds it. Is there any objection? It's close, Councillor O'Meara, but the motion carries. Councillor Haslett-Dill, would you like to begin, or would you like me to call the delegations?
Burton, I think they've waited long enough. I think we all need to hear from you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the delegations?
Yes. Rick Snidel.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, and remaining friends in the room.
Welcome, Rick. Council's looking forward to your presentation.
Which I will keep short and to the point. This is very unusual, speaking to a motion that you will be making, asking Mayor Burton to convene a meeting. Many people, when we communicated, and I should explain to the audience, I'm with the Chartwell Maple Grove Residents Association, which is one of the founding members of We Love Oakville, and most of the presenters tonight are from that constituency. And my brief objective tonight, looking straight at the mayor, is to explain why you need a motion such as that, and to comment on how effective it could or might be. And I want to go back in history a little bit to when I first got involved in standing up here and talking about how Ontario government tiers fit together or not fit together, as the case may be, and reflect a bit on what we've got to here. So very briefly, the history of my involvement was I was aware of the gas plant, and I was aware of the provincial government at the time, and that was a major issue in Oakville. It was a traumatic issue in Oakville, but a lot of residents association, including Chartwell Maple Grove, formed because of that issue, helping the town of Oakville lobby the provincial government. So that's the basis in history. As we went forward, the next big activity, and the one where I actually contributed a little bit, was when the government then, which was a different government, by the way, decided that to reduce redundancy and improve efficiency, they would just roll up these inconvenient communities, towns, into what was the regions and eliminate multiple layers of government. So we did a lot of work, we did a lot of research, and that government, which is similar to today's government, but much newer at it, sent a panel around, discussed it, and listened, which is important to the process, and amalgamation did not take place. So that created a sense of victory and purpose, and I think was a big boost to municipalities. Now, since that's happened, we've moved ahead, and we now have a big issue. And just for people in the room to put it in perspective, think of 5 soccer fields, 11 towers, and 7,000 units. Just think about that, and then think about where it is. It's on one plot of land, which is only part of Midtown, which is the big part of the issue we're discussing right now. What's happened since then is the provincial government has moved more to authoritarianism and expediency, and you've heard of the transit-oriented community, which is something which applies to this. And there are other things such as MZOs, ministerial zoning orders, and there is the omnipresent Ontario Land Tribunal, which are all quite favorable to developers. And basically, I would say the town tends to get outgunned at those levels. So this motion is a chance for Oakville to demonstrate the support of the people and the concern of the people to doing the right thing with the first plot of land to be developed, presumably, because I see no activity in Beertown or some of the other smaller places, which will influence the town for 100 years. That having been said, the role of the councillors is critical, the role of the mayor is critical, and all of the people supporting you so that you can go to the provincial government and say, we have the support of all of our constituents, and this is a big issue. This is not a NIMBY issue. And in case anyone hadn't noticed, Midtown is not in anyone's backyard. It is dead center in Oakville. And what happens in Midtown, and you all know where it is at the busiest intersection in Oakville, the busiest interchange on the QEW, and smack dab in the middle of Oakville. So it affects everyone, and it affects it for a long time. Now, we have observed and worked and cooperated with the excellent town staff, the excellent town planners, all of you councillors here, in how this is developed, and the creation of OPA 70, and the very, very reasonable request, if you have to deal with the TOC, conform it with the work we did in OPA 70. And we're talking about the TOC, but none of our group have any knowledge specifically of what's in it. We just know the process of working with the government and knowing that the developer is intimately familiar with the TOC, and anyone from your staff who work in that group have to sign a confidentiality agreement. So we're dealing, with what we think is happening, but we know what we expect is going to happen. That having been said, we're asking if the mayor can talk to them, if reason can prevail, and if the level of municipal government, and for that point with this issue, probably regional government to some extent, cannot be brought together with the OPA to get a solution on this. And I think that's really our last chance. We've talked about the history. We've talked about, on record in the books, the lack of authority at the municipal level, yet you have an excellent group of brains and talent here that have looked at the optimum use of this property over the next 50, 60, 70 years? You tell me what you think. I don't see, well, I'll see steel in the ground in my lifetime there. I won't talk about the process and any criticisms or concerned about the developer because they've hit a bad market. They're stuck with a big investment. They've got to look after themselves. But I think the research done, the support of the community, the support of the residents associations in asking the mayor, as the representative of council and of the town, to take this last stab with the government is very much what we should be doing at this point, and we should make sure that all of the residents of Oakville are aware of this process and why we're doing it, because they're not. And I wish Mr. Burton the best of luck after you convene that meeting.
Thank you for your good wishes. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Douglas McCurgan.
Welcome, Mr. McCurgan. Council looks forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much. I have a presentation. My name is Doug McCurgan. I represent the Trafalgar Chartwell Residents Association. Could I have the next slide, please? At the council meeting on February the 18th this year, TCRA delegated, and our key points at that time was that we need a united Oakville commitment to protect the Midtown OPA and to realize its vision. MPPs, council, staff, developers, residents. And the second point was that the TCRA would do what it can to help. So we support the motion as tabled. We view it as a vital step in the Midtown journey for the following reasons. And I'll be fairly brief. Could I have the next slide, please? So the logic is three major points. The Made in Oakville Midtown Official Plan meets or exceeds all legislated requirements. That being the case, it should be paramount. You guys know all of this already, but it's worth just repeating it. So changes to our official plan brought about by ministerial order instead of through legislation and public discussion will render the plan meaningless. Second point is that the secrecy and confidentiality associated with the Oakville transit-oriented community forced on Oakville by the province erodes public trust. If deliberations are impartial and honest, why the secrecy? And the last point is that the impact on all Oakville, on all businesses and all residents by the development of Midtown will be hugely inconvenienced during the next few decades. And that statement applies to both build-out and finished product. There's no chance that provincial officials intervening directly in Midtown developments will know enough to avoid making a difficult situation much worse. So my final slide, please. Our recommendation is unanimous approval of the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McCurgan. Mr. Clerk, the next delegation.
Chris Kowalczyk.
Mr. Kowalczyk, welcome. We haven't seen you in a while.
No, Your Worship.
We look forward to your information.
Thank you. Do you look forward to my presentation? I think, to be honest,
always.
Max Kahn, I remember he comes into the coffee shop and he goes, "You're the bullshit guy." And I go, "What do you mean I'm the bullshit guy?" Well, he goes, "You love to go to meetings and go, 'This is bullshit.'" And this would be a great situation for that because the frustration with being involved. So in Kerr Street, we have a sense of ownership of the plan because we were involved in probably, I'd say, the high water mark for public participation and public planning when we did that plan. We were invited to the South Atrium, and 100 different residents built out the plan for Kerr Street, which was incorporated in the plan. So we own that. So people who were involved in that knew like this was, that Midtown was coming down the pipe. So we know this. So my issue is with, Oakville's attained all the goals. We're getting the money from the province because we're achieving the targeted goals. There's a plan for intensification around the transit. We've hit all the markets. Everybody in town was engaged, going to meetings in good faith with the town and staff to come to an agreement of like a result that everyone could live with. And meanwhile, the present provincial regime, as you know, zero consultation, does this backdoor deal with a gentleman who, I mean, allegedly, because I don't know, was sitting, was at the third table at the Premier's wedding. And there is a quick search, ChatGPT, abuse that system. You call up asking about the TOC, and he comes up, investigations have revealed controversial links between developers and Ontario's transit-oriented communities projects, with concerns raised over lack of local consultation and an alleged process that favors PC party donors. And this is happening with the Skills Fund. And the fact that this sort of way that the province, this current regime is mandating, even like I said, when it came to the cannabis issue, like I was thinking, yeah, it's crazy we don't have weed stores for the last 40 years, but I agree with why the town of Oakville isn't doing it, because you were mandated, it's being forced on you with zero consultation. So I'm mad. Like this just makes me angry. I mean, I reach out to Crawford's office, I get a form letter. I never get a personal phone call back. Like, that's pathetic. And the fact that now we here as residents have to come, beg and support a motion for you to beg to have a meeting with the province, is that how the relations with the province and municipalities is? Like, is that a sad state? I mean, as you know, I've been coming for 40 years to meetings. That's how sad it is. So my statement is, yes, we support it. Seek a meeting with the gentleman and let them blow you off and do whatever they're going to do anyways. But I'm saying I'm pissed off on behalf of the residents and behalf of council because, I feel like I've been around enough to see all the sausage you made, and this just stinks. It stinks to high heaven. So I'll ask this. I'll ask town staff through you, Mayor, will we be liable if it turns out there was corruption involved in this TOC process? Is the town, is there a liability element for us and taxpayers on the hook that this, once it gets done, it turns out it was done illegally? Anyway, that's my point. I support the motion. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Questions? Mr. Clerk, the next delegation.
Anya Dunning.
Welcome, Ms. Dunning. Council looks forward to your presentation.
All right, I gotta lower my table a little bit. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so my name is Anya Dunning, and I'm here representing the Oakville Lakeside Residents Association, and our association unanimously supports this motion. We would basically like to present what we would like the Ministers of Housing and Infrastructure Ontario to hear from us, and this is what we'd like to say to them if we had the chance. Our first issue with this TOC is a market demand mismatch. You've got tall towers of tiny condo units that are not wanted and they're not selling. They're too small for couples and families. They're not attractive for single occupiers who could afford it compared to downtown, and it's too expensive for those with the most needs. Oakville is not downtown Toronto. There's a distance to commute, it's a poor commute, and the suburban lifestyle does not attract the young singles who work in Toronto. The Midtown TOC is seriously mismatched to market demand. The Midtown TOC proposal is for 66% single and studio units. Now, according to the Oakville Housing Needs Assessment, which was done in August, the projected need includes 12% one or fewer bedroom units, 35.5% two-bedroom units, and 52.5% three or more bedroom units. There's an enormous risk here. You've got 11 massive towers proposing the same mix of units that are clearly not selling across the country, nor even attracting investors. Will the province stand behind their developer if they get into financial difficulty, or will the province put the burden on the Oakville taxpayer? Next slide, please. All right, these are ways that we can solve the problems, okay? We are being forced with an outdated speculative TOC development onto Oakville, and it's not going to solve the underlying reality of the market. Neither the OPA nor the Midtown TOC can solve the problem of extended fallout from the condo building bubble and speculative investments. The OPA at least provides a sustainable and certain basis for development planning ranging from mid-rise to high-rise with a mix of units that appeal to the market. Approve the OPA for all of Midtown. The province and federal government to help unlock and speed up development by helping financially, not by forcing unmarketable plans on unwilling towns. The OPA provides the basis for planning a very high-density, transit-oriented community that is aligned with market needs, but it cannot resolve developers' stressed financial positions. Next slide, please. Okay, the second point is impact and delays to development across Midtown. Other developments will stall. Neighboring developments will become less attractive to build next to such extreme density. This is noted in the town planning staff report. Okay? The Oakville market cannot absorb the kind of extreme density development the Midtown TOC proposes. This was done in the Midtown Oakville market feasibility analysis. So again, how do we avoid this? We reject the Midtown TOC. We approve the OPA for all of Midtown. This will level the playing field for all developers. They will all know what the rules are, and they can proceed accordingly. Infrastructure, transit, and road planning can proceed in accordance with the OPA. Number 3, we've got long, multi-year delays in bringing the TOC housing to market. And people forget this is not just a build homes, it's a build homes faster issue, right? The choices facing developers in today's market. They can take a financial haircut on investment already made in land and other costs and set per square feet costs attractive to the market, or they wait years hoping the market will come back at prices that support investor interest. Again, ways to avoid the problem is to reject the Midtown TOC. Don't leave the developer trying to build what the market does not want at high risk and with very long financing delays. Use the OPA as the basis to build what the market wants. Okay, next slide, please. Density and livability. Who pays? The Midtown TOC will increase density well above what is contemplated in the OPA and without any contribution to the town for amenities and public facilities. It will not accept the CPPS. The Midtown TOC assumes others will pay for facilities or that residents will drive elsewhere in Oakville to find recreation and green space. Will the province provide funds for Oakville for infrastructure and livability facilities that the Midtown TOC refuses to pay? If the Midtown TOC is forced into Oakville, you can either build a high-density slum with no facilities or social amenities, the current Midtown TOC proposal, or spend money to provide amenities and facilities, the OPA and CPPS approach. The OPA provides for very high-density development, exceeding the density levels of most North American cities. Midtown TOC will wildly exceed even those extreme density levels. Someone will have to pay. Next slide, please. Number 5, we've got planning disruption stops housing development. And again, I'm going to reinforce that it's build homes faster. The Midtown TOC team, it seems, has no professional town planning capability. It is led by one developer to impose by force their dream plan for multiple condo towers with no regards for supporting infrastructure or for impact on neighboring developments. The Midtown TOC is not integrated into anything. It will essentially derail and destroy years of careful planning for a large transit-oriented community. Instead of the Midtown TOC speeding up housing, it will in fact result in less development across all of Midtown, less housing, and a slower pace. Again, way to avoid the problem. The OPA is a blueprint for the development of all 103 hectares of Midtown, tightly integrated to fit into all aspects of town and region planning. OPA Midtown was planned professionally as an integral whole and is aligned with multiple studies and plans for infrastructure, roads, transit, power, water, sewage and floodwater, infrastructure planning, environmental and sustainability, traffic and transit. The OPA will provide a stable base for development across all 103 hectares, which will give certainty to multiple landowners and developers as they build a community all across the entire area, not just on 5 acres. Next slide, please. Okay, and last of all, the optics, okay? And this is how the whole TOC appears to us. When you talk to anybody in the public about Midtown TOC and the process, the reaction we get is, this stinks, okay? The Ontario government has basically axed plans for affordable housing. An enormous Ontario government-sponsored housing development refuses to contemplate any affordable housing and overrules Oakville's plan for a mix of affordable housing and benefits in Midtown. And again, we've talked about it to build homes faster. It is also an affordability crisis. The professional town planning overruled by a provincial government department with no planning expertise. We have undue influence inside the provincial government. One developer with an inside track at the heart of government decision-making is in a position to force their massive high-risk and disruptive development onto an unwilling town. Only the provincial government's favored developer wins in this situation. The developer gets planning permission for 11 massive condo towers with tiny units that the market does not want, in a form and density the town does not want, and with a major impact on roads, traffic, infrastructure, and the entire Midtown community that no one in Oakville wants. Again, how do we avoid the problem? The OPA has undergone a lengthy and exhaustive public engagement process, and this OPA meets with public approval. Reject the Midtown TOC, approve the OPA for all of Midtown. Next slide, please. All right. And continuing with the optics, the government, by arrogance and force. The Midtown TOC is an example of the government using a housing crisis as an excuse to force, via MZO, its own Midtown TOC on the town, and this while ignoring and delaying the town's own OPA. It's favoring one developer over other Midtown developers and over the interests of the Oakville community. Interactions with the MIO and Midtown TOC so far have shown them to be dismissive of public concerns and arrogant in the extreme, essentially zero public engagement. The Midtown TOC is one cursory public display of their plans. No one from the ministry was there, just personnel from the developer who clearly had no interest in listening to any of our concerns. Again, the OPA has undergone a lengthy and exhaustive public engagement process, and this OPA meets with public approval. Reject the Midtown TOC, approve the OPA for all of Midtown. Next slide, please. And this is our conclusion. The Midtown TOC fails to meet the tests of market, financial, and political reality. It fails to provide housing that is wanted within a reasonable time frame to meet urgent needs. The OPA, by comparison, is a properly planned alternative for all of Midtown, which is broad public approval. Let Oakville get on with the job of providing and delivering well-planned housing. We've proven we can do it in the past, and we can do it again. Reject the Midtown TOC, approve the Oakville OPA for all of Midtown. And we ask the mayor to set up a meeting and get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunning, for your presentation. Councillor Elder has a question for you.
Thank you for that presentation. I'd like to get a copy of it. But also, have you considered having a meeting with the MPPs of Oakville?
We have. We have tried to meet with them. We usually get a very dismissive, abrupt, I'm working on it behind closed doors. Again, no transparency. It definitely does not feel like Mr. Crawford has our best interests. No matter, it's a lot of FaceTime, it's a lot of lip service, not a lot of action.
Well, maybe you should send them that presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor, we have all the presentations. Is there something else, Councillor? Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
James Goodfellow.
Good evening. I'm here to represent We Love Oakville and to speak strongly in support of the motion on the table that, Mr. Mayor, that you organize a meeting with the people that are identified in the senior leadership group. We also like to focus on one of the three resolution numbers, number 3, which states that the meeting should request that the province commit to working collaboratively with the town to ensure the growth in Midtown proceeds responsibly in alignment with the Oakville's official plan amendment. Anya's just spoken about the latter. Let me focus on the word working collaboratively. That's something that I've observed in this project is likely totally missing. We have two parts to this project. We got the OPA over here, and we got the TOC over there. On the OPA side, we've had good collaboration. Collaboration with staff, council, residents. We've worked on this thing together. We've got it to a place, kind of thing. Over here, we've got zero collaboration. Zero collaboration between and zero collaboration within. So the challenge, Mr. Mayor, in this meeting is to focus on how do we address this serious defect in a project of this size and complexity. And remember the size of what we're dealing with here. 11 towers, 7,000 units, 14,000 people, a revenue stream to the developer that's in somewhere between $4 and $5 billion. It's a lot of money. It's big, complex, huge. So the collaboration piece of how do you get this together is something. The next thing, Mr. Mayor, this is not just, as you know, this is not just a meeting. You know, what's a successful meeting? Well, step number one is you got to get the right people to the table. So getting these people to the table is no small task. Getting the right agenda, getting the right work done before the meeting, all of that is what's needed to be done to have a successful meeting. And we think you're the guy to do it. So that's why we support the meeting, or support the motion. But this is not just like a single, get in and have a 2-hour meeting. And the key piece is how do you address this collaboration breakdown that we have, serious problem that we got in this thing so that's why we're supporting the meeting. Now let me talk a little bit about urgency here, because as you know, Council adopted the resolution to support the OPA in last January and awaits ministerial approval. And in fact, on Halloween, on October 31, I think you folks got a letter from the lawyers for the developer that actually shows why this collaboration issue is such a serious problem. Because in the letter, they made 3 things that I'll comment on. One is, the first is they requested that all TOC development sites be excluded from the community planning permit system bylaw that's being developed for Midtown. Now, this was expected. It was certainly not collaborative. And they underlined, and the interesting piece to me and thing was that they underlined the sentence so that you wouldn't miss it. But that speaks volumes. The second thing I'd like to say is that they stated in the letter that would be a better use of the resources, that's the town's resources, to pause any further work on the draft CPP bylaw until after the decision by the MMHA, Minister of Housing, has been made regarding the OPA 70. So in plain language, what they're saying is stop working on your planning framework and your bylaw until you see how the province amends OPA 70. Amendments that no doubt will be helped shape by the developer to suit their purpose. It also suggests a sequencing issue that the OPA is going to be, the TOC will be addressed first before the OPA. The third interesting piece in their letter was that the developer is in discussions with Infrastructure Ontario, and I quote, which could result in a ministerial zoning order, MZO, being issued for each of the development sites. So there's a good notion of collaboration. Their message of collaboration is grant the developer exemptions from the OPA 70, or the province will rewrite it, or override it with an MZO, or do both. This threat is clear and simple. Oakville, roll over. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. And that's the challenge of which we now, I believe, face. And the choice for us is equally clear and simple. It's we can either surrender to the provincial power and allow bad planning and private profit to shape Oakland's future, Midtown's future, rather, Or we can stand behind the stronger community-focused responsible planning put forward in OP 870, as Anya has suggested. And we firmly believe that the latter is the right approach. Again, back to the collaboration, this process, the TOC of operating behind confidentiality agreements in back rooms, sending lawyers with letters to threaten us, raise serious concerns about what deals or commitments are being made or will be made, shielded by confidentiality agreements, and kept out of the public view. There's an old saying that sunlight is the best disinfectant. This project on the TOC sides lacks any sunlight. And let me also say is that for any folks that might be listening from Queen's Park, that if the province attempts to impose an MZO and force a non-OPA compliant on Midtown, that this will be not well received. It will be met with strong and deep and lasting resistance and resentment. And our Oakville residents have long memories. And for those who participate in overriding our local planning and local democracy, they'll be held accountable in years to come. So, Mr. Mayor, we now ask, where do we go from here? The motion and the request for an urgent high-level meeting is important, and again, I stress, this is not just a meeting, but a process to try and address this serious lack of collaboration issue. We have two choices. We can capitulate to the demands of the selected developer and accept a fragmented, piecemeal approach to the development of Midtown, and accept that bad planning and will undermine OPA 70 and leave the development of Midtown to developers to be proceeded on an application-by-application basis. Or we can stand up, as we said. It's equally unacceptable, in our view, to continuing with the current strategy of submitting, waiting for the province to submit something, submitting comments, going to their feedback meetings, and hoping they will listen. Because in the year, remember, this OPA was delivered to us on November 14th last year. So we've been at 1 year with this proposal. And in the past year, they've clearly demonstrated they don't listen. And they're not interested in listening. And they're going down the route. And now we're waiting for the revised proposal. So, as you organize, Mr. Mayor, for this meeting, we call upon you, council, and our MPPs, if they're listening as well, to stand behind OPA 70 as the single comprehensive plan for Midtown with no exceptions, no exemptions, and no carve-outs. That we all publicly oppose any attempts to undermine and intimidate Oakville's planning authorities and responsibilities. That we demand full response, transparency, and accountability from the Infrastructure Ontario and its selected developer, and we press the province to promptly approve the OPA without amendment or delay. So that's not a bad set of objectives for you. How have we go about the, so in just closing to say, come back to the, we shouldn't think of this just as a meeting, but as a process to how do we address these fundamental issues. Because the stakes are high. The message that you guys got from the lawyers and from the developer is clear and threatening. And we have to respond appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for your information. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Liam Rondo.
Mr. Rondo, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Good Good evening, Mayor Burton, councillors, and staff. I'm here in support of this motion. My name is Liam Rondeau, and I'm a lifelong Oakville resident, a young professional who's interested in starting a family here soon. And since the province says it's planning the Midtown TOC for people like me, I want to share honestly what this plan looks like from the perspective of someone who's hopefully going to be here for another 60 years or more. Across the country, the facts are clear. 300 to 500 square foot condos are not selling and they're not appealing. They're too small for couples and young families. They're too small for multi-generational families, not attractive to single professionals, and they remain too expensive for those with the greatest housing needs. This is not an opinion. It's the market reality we're seeing across Canada, and it applies directly to the Midtown TOC proposal. Putting thousands of micro units in a suburban setting with a long commute and few amenities does not align with how people choose where to live. So when the Midtown TOC proposes 66% studio and one-bedroom units, it simply does not match real housing needs here. Oakville's housing analysis shows that demand is overwhelmingly 2- and 3-bedroom homes, the kinds of units that young couples, growing families, and future residents can actually live in long-term. So this isn't about resisting growth, it's about building the right kind of growth, the kind that people actually want and will use. So OPA 70 is the path that actually works. It supports very high density, integrates with roads, transit, servicing, and infrastructure plans. It includes community benefits and affordable housing tools, and gives every landowner a clear and predictable framework. If the goal here is to achieve a transit-oriented, livable, high-density midtown, OPA 70 already gets us there in a realistic and achievable way. So as someone who hopes to live in Oakville long-term, we need to see growth, but we need smart and future-focused growth. But for Midtown to succeed, it has to be aligned with actual demand and be supported by the infrastructure and community features that people like me, my partner, and our future family will rely on. The Midtown TOC, as proposed, does not achieve that, but the OPA 70 does. And for these reasons, I strongly support this motion. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rondo. Councillor Hazlitt-Pill has a question for you.
Liam, on behalf of all of us that have been doing this, thank you for being a young person who actually brings forward the concerns that you have, because you do want a home. You do want and support growth, but you also understand what you would buy or rent. And I thought you articulated it incredibly well, and I'm appreciative that you hung in until the late hour, though I know young people stay up later.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation, please?
George Niblock.
Welcome, Mr. Niblock. Council looks forward to your presentation.
Thanks very much. I'll just be very brief. I'm with We Love Oakville and Oakville Lakeside Residents Association. And just to recap, We Love Oakville is an amalgamation of a bunch of residents associations in Oakville and representing over 5,000 residents. And we do support this motion tonight. I wanted to recognize the huge community support this evening, the amount of people that came out to the meeting earlier on. It's been a very long meeting, and we definitely appreciate their support. The overflow room was apparently completely full, and the parking lot was full, and this room was full. I hope that a lot of these people got home to watch the end of this meeting online. If you hadn't counted in your email inboxes, I think you had about 1,181 letters of support for this motion from the public. Perhaps it's higher. That's good. If it's higher, that's good. And so I think what we wanted to have you recognize that this is a really important issue for Oakville, and Oakville residents have noticed. This is potentially the project that will have the most impact on Oakville. We've never seen a development of this scale happen in Oakville, And, you know, it seems to us that most of the meetings and decisions regarding this TOC are behind closed doors. And it's really disheartening for a public that has been engaged in this process throughout the OPA and so on to be cut out of it. And decisions, the ministers are empowered to make these decisions without even coming back for consultation in Oakville. The second local advisory committee meeting was canceled. We have not seen a revised plan that we've been promised for months. And meanwhile, Oakville has a great plan for Midtown that's on the table. It's a win-win solution for Oakville and for the province and for the people in order to solve the housing crisis in a responsible way. And this is where the TOC totally falls down, in our opinion. And so we really do urge you to support the motion and take any opportunity to meet with the province to solve this problem and, you know, ultimately get our OPA passed for Midtown, a responsible plan to build Midtown, and a TOC is basically what's happening there. It just needs to comply with what everybody agrees is a good plan for Midtown. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Midlock. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Elizabeth Chalmers.
Ms. Chalmers sent in a letter, and I imagine that was in anticipation of her not being able to be here tonight.
So Mayor Burton, she was attempting to be here, but unfortunately, the way the night went, she couldn't. So we have her letter. If you would like it read into the record, we can do that, but we appreciate her taking the time to write her thoughts on behalf of the Joshua Creek Residents Association.
You get in the record however you get it here. You don't have to speak the words to get in the record. But, you know, at some point, you're going to be offered an opportunity to speak to your motion, and if it'll fit in your time allotment, you can read it. Before we do that, I want to poll. Yeah, really. I want to poll the audience in case there are any other people who'd like to bring their thoughts forward before we restrict it to table, and I believe we'll pass the motion. Is there anyone? All right. Well then, I'll restrict it to table, and I recognize Councillor Hazlitt-Deal.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Burton. Well, I want to first start by saying the answer to the question of who's standing up for Oakville is all of you, 1,180 and counting, and even more than that. We know that there is significantly more. We had, you know, people calling saying, I can't make it, but, you know, I'm there in spirit. And so who's standing up for Oakville? Thankfully, all of you are. Some of the comments that were made earlier, you know, I just want to reiterate, you know, when we are truly collaborative, we build trust. And all of you, even Chris, though he likes to say that he's full of BS, nailed it. When we participate together, when we come together, we build trust in a process, and we build commitment to seeing that process in action. And so the spirit of this motion was to reset the process, to say, through the mayor, as the head of council, an opportunity to re-engage with the ministry, to really take the opportunity for a dialogue, a meaningful, constructive, collaborative discussion. Because who knows Oakville best but those that have worked with the planners, those that have worked with the residents and the stakeholders, and those that are accountable to you as elected officials. I also thought as we were drafting the motion about, the mandate that we were given by the province, and that mandate actually, I'll quote, says, throughout the review process, the province will engage with municipal and regional, as applicable, staff and officials, the public and local stakeholders. And then it goes on to say, and I quote, the province will engage with municipal, regional staff and elected officials on the TOC proposal. And it then further goes and says, collaboration between the province, the municipality, and region will occur through an iterative process as outlined in the governance and engagement framework and involve leveraging the expertise of each party in terms of technical considerations and related TOC proposals. And finally, we are to work with the province to seek and receive public input throughout the engagement process. To me, this motion is living exactly what they asked us to do. And I understand it's the province's choice whether they choose to join us in a further conversation. And we do not have, as council, the final decision on the TOC, which you all know. But I think what you expressed tonight is you want the plan that you worked so hard and took the time to attend multiple meetings to come to fruition. You're not afraid of growth. You want us to move forward. What you're asking is that this meeting occur to reinforce perhaps a negative image that somebody might have when you say, hey, like, what are you doing? We don't want that. We're not saying we don't want that. We're saying we want smart, responsible growth. So I won't go on other than to express my deep gratitude for my privilege to know all of you. And I would hope that the motion is met with the genuine request, which is, it's an invitation. It's an invitation that we can do better and we can move forward, but we need that dialogue. And I'm hopeful, Mayor Burton, that your ongoing commitment to try to ensure that the ministers and the ministry understand Oakville's commitment to growth, but our commitment to smart and local responsible growth comes through, whether the meeting occurs or not. And I'd ask my council colleagues for their support.
Thank you, Councillor. How's it feel? In that spirit, I would be happier with the motion if the word convene was changed to invite.
Mayor Burton, I have appreciated that suggestion from you, and yes, it's a friendly amendment, and I appreciate that you would like that word changed.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McNeice, you're the co-mover.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Certainly agree with what's been said so far, and thank all the delegates for sticking with us tonight. I'd agree that collaboration and deep listening leads to good planning, and I think we saw that, in the build up to OPA 70. And I hope that we can do better with the TOC. A lot of us, and probably all of us, aren't feeling too comfortable with this process. And certainly it's felt like an opaque process from the public's perspective. And I agree with the delegate that shining some sunlight on this is the best remedy. So obviously I'll be supporting this, and I hope that this motion will pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McNeice. Recognizing the importance of development to Oakville in every corner of the town, not just in Midtown, I will proudly invite the ministers to such a meeting, which, if it happens, would be a history-making meeting. And I ask all my colleagues on council to support the motion. And I hope we all, I think we should all hope for acceptance of the invitation from the ministers indicated. I would point out, though, that when we ask for collaboration and deep thinking and consideration of our view, it's expected of us by the other side as well. And when we say that all we want is OPA 70 on everything. We're not actually modeling that attitude to the people we're asking to give it to us. So if you want to have two-way conversations, and I believe collaboration requires a give and take two-way element, we have to keep that in mind, or it might not be a very good meeting. Councillor Dudek?
I would request a recorded vote, please.
Certainly. Anybody else, or shall we call the vote? All right. Mr. Clerk, would you call the vote?
Councillor O'Meara?
Yes.
Councillor McNeese?
Yes.
Councillor Dudek?
Yes.
Councillor Chisholm?
Yes.
Councillor Hazard-Thiel?
Yes.
Councillor Giddings?
Yes.
Councillor Elger?
Yes.
Councillor Longo?
Yes.
Mayor Burton?
Yes.
Councillor Knoll?
Yes.
Councillor Grant?
Yes.
Councillor Adams?
Yes. And sorry, my camera died along with my computer earlier.
Councillor Nanda?
Yes.
Councillor Shi?
Yes.
And I believe we have regrets from Councillor Lishina. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. That carries unanimously. Council, on the item 7, there's a few minutes. I'm going to see what your patience is for an extra item. There is item 7.2 in front of you. I believe this is the one I want. Mr. Clerk, you gave me a note I didn't understand about that item. What item are you referring to? 7.2. 7.2. So, Council, if you look at 7.2, if you have comments on this file, would you please offer them now? And if you haven't, which I suspect is the case, would two of you give us a motion to receive the report? Councillor Dudek and Councillor Hazlet-Thiel, is there any objection? Mr. Clerk, being none, that carries, and I hope that works out. Council, tomorrow at 9:30, we can take up item 9.1. It's a confidential matter, and it involves an active appeal at the OLT. I am more than willing to stay tonight if you want to dispatch it tonight. You're going to be asked to give direction, and it's going to be in camera because that's how we do legal cases. And if that's your wish, then I need a motion first that council resolve into a closed meeting session for the purpose of this item, because it can be considered in the absence of the public under the Municipal Act, because it deals with litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, advice subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, information explicitly supplied in confidence to the municipality by the province, and a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. And the mover and seconder for that is Councillor Longo and Councillor Grant. Thank you. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, there being no objection, that carries. And when, does anybody want a brief bio break while we do the magic with the technology? Okay, well then, let's all just hope for really fast technology shift over.
Recording stopped.
Yeah, I forgot. Try to live through
Cool?
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I'm currently in my first of 3 years at Sheridan, so it's kind of fun to be at that point because you have all great ideas and you're not limited by actual technology. Sheridan College, in the glass department here, they ran a bit of a competition amongst the students. I submitted my design, and then it got sent.
And we have a motion from Councillor Shia and seconded by Councillor Nanda that the public recommendations in the confidential report be adopted. And they are that the confidential direction provided in the legal report, OLT Appeals Argo Nayagawa Corporation and Nayagawa Urban Core Official Plan Amendments dated November 4th be approved, and number 2, that staff be authorized to attempt to settle the appeals in accordance with the policy direction provided in OPAs 326 and 45 for the Nayagawa Urban Core to the satisfaction of the Commissioner of Community Development and Town Solicitor, and otherwise oppose the appeals. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, there being no objection, that carries unanimously. Is there any new business that of a congratulatory or condolence or emergency nature? Councillor Shia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to take this moment tonight to express my sincere appreciation to everyone who made the 77th Oakville Santa Claus Parade such a success this past weekend. I know it's late, but I have a long list to thank. So this is one of the Oakville most beloved traditions, and it takes remarkable teamwork across our town staff and volunteer to bring this event to life. So first, my deep thanks to our town staff from Cultural Services, Anna, Kelly, Lisa, from Transportation and Engineering Road Corridor, Andrea, Weasley, and Vince, from Park Operations, Kyle, Frank, from Traffic Operation, Jim, Mike, and the traffic team, from Oakville Center for Performance Arts Center, Sponsorship and Technical, Deborah, Andrew, and the team, from Rose and the Works, Ryan, Jorge, Peter, Dave, and Scott, from Marketing Communications, Janine, Addison, Ashley, from our Municipal Enforcement, Kathleen and the team's officers, Oakville Transit, Rogie, Kachan, Leslie, and our transit drivers, Recreation and Culture, Julie and Christina. Thank you for all your professionalism, long hours, and coordinations across so many moving parts. To our incredible volunteer committee, Flow Coordinator Heather, Lead Marshal Glenn, Volunteer Coordinator Joyce, Band Coordinator Val, Banner Coordinator Jessica, thank you for your dedication. And to our volunteers, lead marshals, Pan, Doc, James and Sarah, Peter, Scott, and Joyce, your leadership on Parade Day is truly appreciated. To my dear council colleague, Councillor O'Meara, Councillor Adams, Councillor McNeese serves as the lead marshal, and Councillor Longo, who serves as one of the judge, and to Councillor Grant, who lead our post-parade volunteer celebration party and keep everyone warm with hot chocolate and timbits. Thank you for all supporting the parade and lifting the spirit of our team. And our parade judge, Carol, Emily, and Peter again, thank you for lending your time. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank Councillor Dadak for coaching me and guiding me in this chairing parade committee this year. Your mentorship has a great deal. Thank you all for everyone who helped make this parade happen, and thank you to all the residents who came out to celebrate this holiday season with us. Your support and enthusiasm are what make this tradition so special. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. I'd like to extend a note of thanks to the Ford Motor Company for providing such a wonderful ride for the mayor and Mrs. Mayor. The best part of it was the cheerful message on both sides explaining that this is the new vehicle that will be produced this summer in Oakville. And we all know the chance they've taken to do that, and I deeply appreciate their commitment to our town. And it's very, very kind of them to tell that story. The spirit of the parade as we went by, people were thrilled with the news. So that was all very good. Councillor Duddick?
I just want to send compliments the other way to Councillor Shi for his leadership and for jumping in with both feet, both arms, and a big smile. Obviously, Santa's going to reward you big time, so well done.
All right. Any requests for reports? I'm not aware of any. Then how about a mover and seconder for consideration and reading of the bylaws? Councillor Elgar, Councillor Nanda, thank you. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, there being none, the bylaws are considered read and passed. And that ends the marathon work of this meeting. It didn't take quite as long as I feared. And it's been terrific working with you. I look forward to the next opportunity. Good night.
Recording.